Hello, everyone. We are back with Domination Week 2, and we are going to be having Dynasty Starlight versus Ascendancy 5. I'm Vern Chaos, and I'm joined by Zoe. Say hi, Zoe, or is it Zoe, to clarify?
Zoe, gotcha. Hi.
All right. Sorry about
Excited
that.
to be here. It should be a good match this week, I think. We do have two teams coming in with an 0-1 record, so it's a battle of the losers, I guess. But it should still be fun nonetheless. These teams are, eager to prove that after last week they're still competitors in this series. So there's a lot at stake to be shown on the stream today.
All right, so begins the redemption arc. We can go over and see the predictions that we had made prior to the set. We can have obviously ours, but then Quacks and Chelsea, I still don't know how to pronounce his name, but it seems that you are the only person that has taken up Ascendancy
Oh,
for the
okay.
set. Any particular reason?
Yeah, so honestly, just looking at, I did a little bit of draft analysis before we got into the stream today, and just looking at, the way that these teams are likely to develop their drafts today, I think that Ascendant 5 has a little bit of a better core to play around. I think that maybe, Dynasty Starlight's idea of how to play the game is not quite as refined, shall we say. However, there's still room to just purely outplay someone. So I can definitely understand the rooting for Dynasty here. What was your reasoning?
Honestly, right now the jungler for Dynasty, I personally think that carry junglers are really kind of the flavor of the patch right now, and they're very good at just doing those, creating leads for their team. So I think jungle has a lot of agency, and I think they're going to be able to really perform in that role. But
Yeah,
we
that
are
is
gonna have to see
understandable.
coming up into it. All right. I
Whoop.
don't know. I think both teams are gonna be soon to be ready.
Yeah, we're having a little bit
And
of technical difficulties there. Well, in the meantime, we could talk a little bit about that draft analysis. So you said that Dynasty Starlight's got these like carry junglers, right?
yep.
Yeah, so I noticed that their jungler particularly is a bit of a Bel'Veth main, which I have not seen in competitive play in a long time. I don't know if I've ever actually seen that picked in pro play. But Bel'Veth in a circuit like this, I think can handle herself very well. Particularly, their support player likes to pick up a lot of enchanters. If we see some of those combined with the Bel'Veth, we've got a little bit of a maybe roam, take that support out of bot side, have them follow around that Bel'Veth, and we can really make some plays around the map. So I definitely understand that. I think the Ascendant 5 counter to that maybe is you just have very simple point and click CC junglers, your Jarvan, your Vi, your Zac, all of which Ascendant 5 jungler or Ascendant 5's jungler plays. So hopefully there's a little bit of give and take there.
Absolutely. I mean, I watched Ascendant 5 in like past seasons, and I definitely like. I think their jungler was very effective. I think that, I mean, you take any champion, like any like very simple champion, and then you don't really have to think, and then on how to exactly play the champion. You then spend more effort on just being exactly where you need to be. If you want to focus grubs for your team, or you want to create early tempo and just skip some of the earlier objectives and just keep ganking, or if you want to invade. So by playing some of those easier champions, you're then able to maybe focus on other aspects of the map.
Yeah, very true. There's the old monicum, keep it simple, stupid, right?
Yep.
Sometimes the best way to play the game is just to be able to think about the macro. Don't worry about the micro of your champion. Speaking to that point, though, there are definitely some Ascendant 5 likes to with their laners. They like to play some more carry more difficult champions. You and I were talking beforehand. Their top laner is a little bit of a gangplank player, so we might see that
Yeah.
come out
Let's
today. That is
go.
obviously known for being a very difficult champion. Their ADC has been grinding out a lot of Aphelios and ranked. Mr. 200 years. That is certainly not a simple micro champion. So we'll see if maybe they are leaning towards some more difficult, some more carry oriented laners, and we'll see how that clashes with, like you said, the Dynasty Starlight carry jungle style of play that we're expecting them to take. But of course, bans, we'll see how bans affect this. If that Bel'Veth gets taken off the board, the Lilia gets taken off the board, then Dynasty's jungler just get reduced towards their backups are more supportive style. So
I mean, looking at Ascendant C5, they have like two like very scaling players. They have their mid laner playing like Vladimir and Anivia, and then as you aforementioned, the Aphelios and kind of like Draven Zaya. I mean, you have these two like heavy scaling options, so they really need their jungler to be able to perform, or they need their top lane to just like frag out, and
Yeah.
admittedly. So there's going to be a lot of pressure, I think, on the jungle to perform. But I've seen them do it before in the past. I think they are going to be able to do it. That's why I had the 2-1 prediction for the set. I don't think they'll be
Mhm.
able to take it, but I think they'll definitely be able to take a game.
Sure. I am curious. You mentioned that Ascendant 5 has played here in Risen before. If I'm remembering correctly, I don't think Dynasty Starlight has. Do you think that experience in the circuit is gonna lend any credence towards them here, or is that more of a detriment than
Mm,
a beneficiary in this
Admittedly, okay,
context?
I did the draw show, and I know I most likely read the excerpt for all of these teams, but I do not recall history for Dynasty Starlight at this point
Yeah.
because like half of them were like, we're a group of friends and we're just gonna
Yeah.
ride in with the power of friendship. We're gonna do this, and then a lot
Sure.
of people were like, had just very nice novellas typed out. But I think Dynasty might have been like a team that had been doing like other brackets and other circuits and stuff. So I think they're not going to be like completely new to the competitive scene altogether.
Mm.
And I think Risen is definitely a more well together, like put together bracket. So I think that it's definitely going to be a little bit of an uphill battle. I mean, obviously both teams lost game one, so uh, we'll have to see how they really shake out, like following up the loss, if they're going to be able to just bounce back immediately.
Yeah. Um, well, shifting towards some more general ideas here. What's your take on the whole, you know, pro meta of the game right now? We've been you mentioned that you're
Oh,
a big fan of or this patch you're saying that the carry junglers are strong.
yep.
I've been seeing Lee Sin pop up a lot as like the carry jungler, and then pretty much everyone else gets banned out, and we're defaulting back to that like Rel Maokai support jungle flex. It's a whole
Yeah, I mean, you're always gonna have your crazy Lee Sin players because like you have like true combo with that,
Mhm.
where it's like you. I mean, a lot of league is based around like people have a like a 0.25 second reaction time. So like Darius pull, it goes at that rate, and like there's many other like small things like that. And Lee Sin is one of the few champions that kind of supersede that capability and is then able to go a little bit faster than that. So a lot of times you can just get those crazy like, and you could name any region in the world where you have those crazy Lee Sin players in the
Yeah.
pro scene that just are able to make that engage and just pick that one person out. Um, for okay, for like the other roles, I mean, in ADC, obviously we're seeing right now, just like lethality just be the flavor of kind of this year so far. I mean, just you're able to put out so much damage with and like in a little bit of a safer position. I think APCs are also quite strong at current. I mean, Seraphine is kind of a little bit silly, where you just walk up to the wave, you throw two abilities and you just kind of nuke the wave in under 5 seconds, and then you just walk away. So it's like it's fairly safe at current. And I mean, Ziggs also is a fairly safe option. So I think was it bot lane? You definitely really have. I think I've seen a lot more engaged supports. A lot of teams really obviously loving Nautilus or Leona or like not Nautilus, Leona or Thresh. Thresh not seen as much, but it's just been a lot of tanks seem to be suffering in a lot of ways,
Yeah.
and just being able to blow people out of the water is definitely just the name of the game.
Yeah, I don't know if
How about
anyone was
yourself? What have you been seeing?
I don't know if anyone was up late watching the LCK last night like I was, but we saw T1 bring out the Ezreal support as an answer to Callista Renata, which is something I hope to not see today from either of these
You
teams. Yeah, that was a bit of a weird one.
how'd it
To your
go?
point about the APCs, though, I do think that lends a bit of an interesting angle for like Dynasty Starlight to take and draft here. Potentially like the Seraphine Senna bot lane. Their support plays a lot of Senna. That bot lane is very good at facilitating that carry jungle playstyle, especially with someone like a Bel'Veth who's going to benefit a lot from that, combat sustain that, Seraphine and Senna can provide, as well as those, massive AoE ultimates to just help bring people into that E. That would be something I would love to see, if we let the, what's it called? If we let the Bel'Veth through, there we go. If we let the Bel'Veth through draft, through ban phase, I believe Dynasty will be on blue side here, if I'm not mistaken. We can just slam that like B1 Senna, threaten, a Senna Tom Kench, Senna Nautilus lane, and then, pivot towards the Senna Seraphine with the Bel'Veth jungle, something like that, just a very up draft. In terms of pro play as a whole, though, to comment on the other lanes, I mean, it's been kind of stale, to be honest. We've been in the same meta for about a year and a half at this point, where it's just, you've got your like Cassante Aatrox every single game in top lane. Maybe there's a Rumble. We saw Udyr in there for a few weeks as an answer to Cassante. Mid lane has basically been Orianna Azir every single game, maybe a Nico in there. Bot lane, you've got your Kalista, your Aphelios. Now we have Lethality Varus. I mean, personally, I was hoping the new season would just throw a complete meta shift, and boy, it did not.
Yeah. I was gonna say, you really kept a lot of your same flex picks. Not really much was changed. Like, the only one that's like coming to mind right now that's like a fairly like decent flex pick that's new would be like Trundle or Jax. Because like now, like Jax is finally like decent enough in the jungle again, and then we have Trundle able to split push in the top lane. But it looks that we are going to be shifting over to draft now, and as you aforementioned, Dynasty Starlight's going to be on the blue side, and Ascendant C5 is going to be on the red side. In the first band of the game is hovering that Ezreal.
Ooh, okay.
I think that might have heard you.
I think, I'm hoping that's an Ezreal ADC ban. I hope we're not considering the Ezreal support seriously, but I mean, if A5 wants to bring that out in game 2, I'm all for it. There's the Bel'Veth ban off the table. They are not messing around with that. They heard us talking it up.
Yeah, I mean it's very good. You're able to just either invade if you want, just because you've got a lot of the early mobility, or you can just be very safe from being invaded. So I think getting Bel'Veth off the table can be very good, putting them on something that they are uncomfortable on. But Varus pick is going to be coming out. It looks like Dynasty is going to be scared of Ascendant C5's ADC.
Yeah, I mean, I think target banning ADC for a team like Ascendant 5 is perfectly fine. We talked about they're trying to play through those strong side lanes. Particularly, their ADC has been functioning as the main carry for them. They're a very traditional team in that sense for the last few weeks, the last few games that they've been playing. So, I think just target banning them out. We'll see. Maybe they'll take that Aphelios off the table as well.
I also agree with the Maokai pick. Right now, Maokai is just in a really good spot of being able to be flexed in the top jungle and support role. So I think that's going to be good, considering that Dynasty has the Prio pick being on the blue side. Graves going to be the next ban out. They kind of don't want some of these invades coming in. It seems that Dynasty is not liking AD champs at the moment.
The Graves ban is very interesting. I'm not entirely sure who on Ascendant 5 that's targeting. But I mean, if we're worried about some answer to a carry jungle, Graves is very good at that. Maybe we'll see Ascendant 5. The other option, if a Graves is banned out, is maybe they pick up a Kindred. The Zyra ban. Wow.
Okay, and the instant snap pick is, well, they're hovering Smolder. I think they're going to be securing it. Who do you think is best with Smolder right now, support-wise?
Well,
if you had to take a shot in the dark.
Support-wise, I actually do think it is Zyra, weirdly. I think Smolder favors a lot of these, like, pokey bot laners. He goes for, like, a W-max sort of thing, where he's able to just try to keep the enemy bot lane out, not really able to walk up and punish him. The levels in Q don't really do too much for him in that regard, but I think this could actually end up being a Smolder mid. Their mid favors a lot of, like, high-scaling champions. He's been playing the Aurelion Soul in the Smolder recently. Wow, okay, A5 with a very quick retort there of Ivern Vayne.
I think that's very good. Ivern, obviously very good support for the team. I mean, we said early on that the jungler just wants to be the enabler for their squad, and Ivern is very much the embodiment of that. And Vayne, obviously good scaling champ to get to the late game. will always be able to do enough damage as long as she's able to get through the lane. But that's going to be a Nami pick up with a potential Smolder. Obviously, that's still going to be able to flex mid or bot lane. I mean,
Yeah,
there's the weird, quirky jungle, but I don't think that's ever going to happen. Let's be real.
you say Nami jungle? I don't think I've seen that one
No, no,
before.
Smolder. No,
Oh,
Smolder. I meant.
Smolder jungle. Okay,
Yeah.
all right, all
Sorry.
right.
Words are hard. Words are hard.
It's all good. Yeah, I wouldn't honestly mind just slamming like a little bit of a weird like Lucian Nami bot lane here. Try to play aggro on this Vayne. Toss that Smolders like an AP mid laner. Maybe they're just gonna pick up a Xin Zhao. You know, very stable meta jungler right now. Should be fine as an answer to Ivern. His clear's not that much worse. Able to make some plays around the map. Hopefully, follow the Ivern around, bully off the Vayne. It's a decent champ. Can't go wrong with it.
Yeah. Point and click, like CC is pretty good. Obviously, you still have to land the spear, but like the rest of the kit is pretty nice and fairly simple. But Anivia is going to be the pickup, so we're going to be seeing that scaling mid lane, scaling bot lane, as we were kind of talking about in the draft phase. I mean, Anivia always a good wave clearing champ.
Yeah, Ascendant 5 mid laner has been practicing Anivia and ranked recently. Dynasty just not respecting that angle in the draft, letting that through. Anivia is going to be able to help set up for that Vayne a lot. I mean, with Anivia Ivern, you're having, if you're a Dynasty, you're having to worry about getting locked down a lot, right? Ivern providing the knockups, the roots, Anivia with the stun, just keeping you in that. Then Anivia are the entire time for Vayne to just lay on damage. But interestingly, we're seeing Ascendant 5 ban out the Shen. I was actually considering that as a top laner for them to play here. You know, if you're trying to play through that strong side bot lane, I think Shen is a great angle for you to do that. But alternatively, you know, they don't want Dynasty to be able to maybe, you know, they're looking to pick up support on R4 here, so they don't want Dynasty to be able to answer with the Shen and then have something for the Smolder. Makes sense, just not necessarily the angle I would have taken.
Yeah, I do like the Cinderban here. They definitely need the range. They kind of lack it right now at the moment, and that would also enable some more of Dynasty's scaling into the game. One funny interaction is Smolder's able to fly over the Anivia wall, so might
Oh,
be able to get out of some of the CC coming up here. Wait, I don't think if Smolder's position is that bad to be in Anivia like R freeze, I think she's gonna be. And he is going to be having a lot bigger troubles. But they're going to be getting rid of the Nautilus out of the bot lane. So going to be forcing a different engage support than what they're usually going to be picking.
yeah. I mean, I
I
think
think they're going to be supporting here.
you're happy with slamming really any sort of engaged support here. I mean, Rakan, even a Blitzcrank with Vayne, I think is fine. They prefer the Braum.
Mm.
I think Braum's okay in this situation. I think Braum gets a lot more value when he's fighting into, you know, more melee centric champs. I think it's hard for Braum to necessarily get on the Smolder or the Nami here and threaten them out, but it's still providing a lot of good peel for the Vayne. It's going to be able to block the Smolder ultimate, so it's a give and take here.
Yeah. I mean, Braum getting rid of Mom or Tidal Wave, I think is perfectly fine. Like, I don't think he's gonna like find like craziest amount of value, but I think Braum is just gonna be a very decent pick all around, and A5 is just gonna be playing for the counter dive.
Yeah.
I mean, Dynasty right now having the Zenami, they definitely want speed into them. They will pick up the Artillery Mage in Way, so they'll be able to do some damage from afar outside of Smolder.
Yeah, I think Dynasty really needs to lock in some sort of Omega tank here in the top lane, or they're going to be setting themselves up to all get three tapped by this Vayne. An angle towards the Poppy, I think it's okay. You know, someone able to lock down Vayne from you know, tumbling away, but still, I think it's a bit hard to get on this ADC from A5 here. They've got a lot of peel for it, and I just don't know if Xin Poppy is good enough in Gage.
Yeah, I mean, all things considered, maybe I think best thing you have got going for them with the Poppy is that you're going to be able to potentially R someone or two people out of the fight altogether, which obviously has been one of the bigger boons of picking Poppy in general. But the Udyr pick into her, it seems like it's going to be a good old-fashioned scrum in the top lane. They're just going to be two just wet noodles beating on each other.
I will say I do think this is a bit of a favored lane here for the Udyr. I don't think Poppy's going to be able to really provide enough damage in lane to ever threaten Udyr. Certainly, Udyr with his R form is going to be able to get shove on her repeatedly. So, what's it called? A5 may be able to play around topside objectives here, but obviously I think they want to be keeping that Ivern bot side more often than not to try to prevent anything from happening to that Vayne. So we'll see how much that prio topside actually gets them.
Yeah. So right now, I think it's just 100% way going to be mid lane Smolder, Nami in the bot side. You do have that like some of the poke in the bot side with the Smolder Nami, but if Braum just eats the beach ball, how much poke do they really have in the bot lane?
That is true. Yeah, Rom's able to block there. I think the question for this game is really going to become which ADC gets online faster. And for that purpose, my money's on the Vayne. I think the Vayne has a bit of a better, one item power spike here. Certainly a little bit of a better mid game in the Smolder. And if they're able to stop him from getting these stacks, like you said, by blocking that beach ball, then I think A5's going to have a lot of strength to play around in this mid game to try to force down some objectives. Certainly, I think they're going to be able to get that Vayne ahead, try to get these Drakes early, play for that soul win con, and try to end the game through that.
So, kind of looking at mid lane right now, Wei obviously has the I think it's the EW if I recall correctly. What are the abilities that gives extra mana in lane?
That is the
So
WE.
WE, of course, I totally knew it.
They're all ping ponging around.
Yeah, okay. I used to play Dota. There's Invoker in that game, and like I kind of remember some of those spells. So it's like I kind of mixed the two of them. So sorry about that. But with Wei, you're going to be able to have a lot of extra early mana sustain in the lane versus Anivia. Anivia kind of really struggles before that pre-6 to really get to those mana points before she gets a Lost Chapter or that tier really stacked, or if she goes Dorian's Ring. So I think that Wei is going to have a little bit of the early advantage, and Xin Zhao might be able to find some early pickups against Anivia. I'm going to be interested to see how Xin Zhao really is going to be playing out this game. Would you go for grubs or would you go for tempo?
If I'm Xin Zhao here, I think you kind of have to try to go for the grubs, maybe force some sort of topside gank here. I feel like if you're a Dynasty here, you can't give the topside objectives for free because I think it's going to be really hard for you to get those bot side ones, right? I think it's a lot simpler for Ascendant 5 to try to stack these Drakes. So I think if you're on the side of Dynasty, you need to try to get at least 5, if not 6 grubs, and hopefully play to break some towers and get some tempo that way.
Fair enough. Well, as we wait for the draft to go on through, we're going to push it over to a short commercial break, and we'll get back to all of you when we are back on the Rift. Don't go anywhere. Grab a friend, grab some popcorn. We'll see you shortly. Hello, everyone. We are back, and we are getting right into the heart of the action. A5 looks like they're going to be all come together. Well, Starlight is going to be going for the 5-point. They're going to be backing off immediately. Got the Arcane Comet coming out, but it doesn't look like this invade is going to pan out. But as we look at both these teams, do we see any interesting keystones or summoners that we want to take special note of here?
Well, I mean, immediately I'm looking at the Arcane Comet Smolder thing. There is something that we've talked about in the past. As we were mentioning the W poke earlier is a way to try to get Smolder to survive lane. I think that's what he's going for here. What's really interesting to me is the lethal tempo on the Xin Zhao. I have not seen that before. I'm more of a fan of the Conqueror, but if we're going for playing around as many knockups as possible, I suppose lethal tempo is how you do that.
Absolutely. We're going to be seeing that come in as an engage tool. Especially, I'm a little bit surprised by the Electrocute Anivia. Yeah, I definitely understand why you'd probably go like Electrocute over some of the other variants. I'd be curious to see what the secondary summoners are, but get right into the heart of the action. Xin Zhao also opted to not go for a potion for this early start. Going to be trying to buy himself a little bit of extra item tempo for the little bit of a loss in the early health in the game.
It was interesting to see that Dynasty was able to respond to that little weird A5 kind of semi-invade play there with the ward onto Ivern's blue buff. So that should buy their bot lane a little bit more agency than they rightfully should have in this lane by knowing when the Ivern's down here.
Absolutely. And as we were kind of talking about before in the earlier portions, it seems that Xin Zhao is going to be immediately going to be pathing towards the top lane of the map. Here he comes. Yep. There's the push from Poppy.
And yeah, this should just be Udyr dead for free here. Yep, that kill's going to go over to Poppy. Maybe not quite where you wanted, but it should give her, a little bit more agency in this lane, as we talked about. And already that's Dynasty Pearl making the plays that they need to be making to try to make it through this game, right? We talked about you're probably not winning this bot side, so you need to try to play strong side, play for these grubs, and getting that solo kill early in the top lane, with Poppy still having a healthy wave here, is going to allow you to do that. What's called Xin Zhao going for this invade on the Ivern. Ivern's just gonna, flash on him. Xin is so low here, but does Ivern have the damage to kill him? The Aerie will be enough, or was that the jungle pet that finished him? Either way, Xin Zhao is dead now, and Anivia and Ivern are gonna have to chase the way off of his wave and back to his tower.
Yeah, right there, Xin Zhao just getting a little bit too excitable there, and Ivern just able to get that smite insta-kill on the camp, even though it was at significantly over 600 HP, and that red buff burn was able to get the tick damage off onto the Xin Zhao. Flashes down for Elliott in the mid lane, so it's going to be losing a lot of the early pressure that you could have.
Here's Ivern topside, trying to help out the Udyr. Going onto the Poppy, she gets the shield, but there's no way she's making it out of this one. And the trade is returned. This one going over to the Ivern, and you have a 2-0 supportive jungler now. That's going to lead to some interesting tempo plays, I think.
Absolutely. Right now, Xin Zhao is going to be coming into the Ivern. Ivern does have double buffs, is a level up. Xin Zhao does have that longsword as the mild advantage, but I think has to run away from this Ivern. But Xin Zhao is obviously down a fair bit of camps. Ivern's going to be able to get the back off. Is going to be spending a fat chunk of change here. Is going to be instantly picking up the Bandle Glass Mirror, I think is the name of that item. But Xin Zhao is going to be trying to pick up some of the missed farm. With this early start on the Ivern, obviously you wanted the gold to go over to like Simon on that earlier top play, but Simon is now at level 5, is almost going to be hitting level 6, and I don't know how much gold he has right now, but you got to be getting close to being able, getting close to getting the Lost Chapter. So that's going to be able to really set him up effectively, and then he's going to be able to TP back into lane. He did take a bunch of poke, but it was able to weather the storm.
Yeah, we should note real quick, Vayne is very low health here and getting a wave and a half under her tower. This should clear the way for Dynasty to maybe force down this Drake. They've got mid pressure, they've got bot pressure. Should be theirs to take. Not at all how I thought this early game would go for the side of A5, but I mean, you do have Vayne scaling. That is true.
Absolutely. I mean, this is where kind of the range discrepancy is going to start coming into play. Smolder is able to get a little bit more poke versus some of these other later scaling ADCs. And already we see the CS lead between the Smolder and the Vayne at this point. Now we're just getting in the scuffle between the junglers. We're just throwing Braum Qs.
Now Ivern getting forced off of his own Gromp here is trying to hover stop what they think might be a dive bot side. The Vayne is very low, is going to be forced to reset here, and that is definitely Dynasty's Drake to take at this point. I would like to point over on the top side of the map, Udyr has managed to force Poppy out of lane, blower TP here, and he's bought a Dark Seal at 0-1. We love to see that from the Udyr.
Udyr's feeling confident. Just going to be able to give him a little bit of spike of AP, going to be helping with the Phoenix form, but is now rotating down over to the Grubs. And I think we might be having a good old brawl over at Grubs.
That's that's a whiffed Poppy ult. Here's Ivern. It's going to be a bit of a 2v2 kerfuffle, but they're not going to be able to get here in time before that first Grub falls. It's already one for the side of A5. The Poppy is trying to go in, but she's stuck between a wall, an Udyr, and an Ivern. Now the Xin Zhao is here. He's only level 4, though. He's a little bit down. The Wei is here, though. That's one of Wei's abilities whiffing. Now the Xin Zhao slashing on the Udyr. He's sustaining enough. The Braum is here. Doesn't matter. Poppy's going to be able to get that kill on the Ivern, and Udyr is gonna fall just barely to the Wei QW. A little bit better than that kill going over to the Xin Zhao, I think. And now these Grubs should actually be going to the side of Dynasty Pearl. Or not Dynasty Pearl. Dynasty Starlight. Sorry, Dynasty Pearl was from last year.
So a really important thing is that Wei was able to get a pickup, and so that's going to accelerate kind of the items that they are able to get, and going to be helping on that artillery mage carry that they really that they need for this game. Also, Poppy was able to get a shutdown, and now is 2-1 over the Udyr, and I think Poppy is going to obviously have more money altogether on champion, and going to be able to spend that gold. So having a 500 gold lead over the laner is going to be really, really helpful here. But there's going to be netting in a dragon for Ascendancy.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe this is just the copium that I'm huffing, but I do think this is still fine for an Ascendancy at the end of this. I mean, I know you just lost 2 people for virtually no reason, but you did still manage to get a Mountain Drake after all of that. And, you know, we talked about, before we got into this game, that Ascendant 5 is going to want to look to stack Drakes here. So at the very least, you got that objective that you probably shouldn't have been able to take after losing that fight so hard.
I mean, an important thing to note is that they still did get one of the Grubs. And if you get 2 Grubs, you do stop them from just getting the Voidling spawns. So, I mean, if it gets to the next rotation, you're able to just pick up one of the 3 next Grubs, I think you're going to be still in a perfectly fine situation, especially since you've got the Dragon.
Huge fight coming in the bot lane here. Smolder ult's going to be invested. Now Vayne's going on to the Nami. That should be a clear kill for the Vayne. They're not really able to follow down the Smolder anymore either, but, I mean, kill for Vayne is a kill for Vayne. She's manaless, is going to have to force this wave in and reset, but, I mean, you're still happy with that play if you're Ascendant 5.
Absolutely. I mean, Vayne opted for the early, not Swifty Boots, Merc Treads. These are not Merc Treads. These are Berserkers. Sorry. We're going to be going attack speed boots. We're going to go for the early Zerkers, going to be able to go for the rundown, and I think picking out the Nami is the correct target there. And just going to be getting that kill, translating that immediately into a pickaxe and a longsword. But we get a TP back in the top side. Hailstorm is going to be picking up the plated steel caps. I almost said ninja tab. I'm
that's what the whole player base calls them. You're okay. Yeah, unfortunately for Poppy there, her Bomby Cinder stopped her from being able to freeze that wave on Udyr, which would have been a devastating play for them in the top side. But still, you know, you get to blow the TP. She already now has the the MR Bomby's item. I forget the name of it. Hollow Radiance. There you go. So she's just going to be one-shotting every wave.
I mean, that is just a really nice farming item. Also, with the MR included in there, Udyr is just going to be having a very sad time here in the top lane. So Udyr just going to be looking for extra vision. But as of right now, we have no objectives really coming up at current. So it's just going to be a little bit of poking, little maybe jungle fighting. But you have Ivern with the Moonstone Renewer already at this point.
Let's place our bets right now, Vernon. It's not Mountain, it's not Cloud. What do we think the soul is going to be this game?
Chemtech.
You going Chemtech? I'm going Hextech. I love to see a Hextech.
Okay.
I think that's big for
I
either
love
of these
Hextech
teams too. Yeah.
Too many times we don't get to see it.
Yeah. I still love how many glitches there are with the Hextech portals, like Viego turning into his legs stop working after he takes one. It's the weirdest thing.
I haven't seen that. That sounds funny.
Oh boy. Yeah, he just kind of starts like T-posing around the jungle occasionally. Interestingly, Ivern's going to be able to steal Xin Zhao's top side here after he, showed in the bot lane. Poppy is going to come down and try to see what's going on. Udyr's here, Xin Zhao's pinching in. They might actually be able to punish Ascendant 5 for this play.
Xin Zhao coming in through the wings.
Oh, Ivern's greeting this. Out comes Daisy. The root's going to land on his Xin Zhao. He's going to have to flash over the wall to try to get away from this play, but Wei is here, and he just takes the plant. He doesn't care. He's Ivern.
Last going for the win. Takes Daisy with him, but now we have Grubs.
Yeah, Nami is topside, which means although Dynasty is probably going to be able to secure these Grubs, their Smolder is completely getting forced off of XP and CS right now, which is not what you want for your scaling champ.
Okay, 5 of these Grubs, 5 of the Grubs are going to be going over to Starlight Dynasty. So it could effectively set up a very, very fast push whenever they want to and be able to run through these towers. I'm curious if they're going to be rotating down for this dragon or if they're just going to let it go, considering that bot lane's shoved in.
Yeah, I mean, you probably want to try to secure this Drake. If you're either team, it's a very important one. You want, if you're the side of Dynasty, at least one Drake here is going to be able to buy you some time. You have a little bit of bot pressure right now with your Smolder pushing in. He already has the Essence Reaver, so it's not as important for him to back. And definitely if you're the side of Dynasty, notably, you have that TP advantage from your top laner. And we can see the work of the 5 Grubs there just shredding Ascendant's bot lane tower. The Ghost is going to have to come out from Smolder to try to make it away from this play. The Anivia is here. The Nami ult is invested, as is the Smolder R, and Ascendant 5 is going to have to pull back or they're going to get chased down. Out comes the flash from the Vayne. The Poppy's going in. There's the TP. It's a 3-man Poppy R. Is it enough? The Nami Q is going to land, and that's going to be a kill onto the Braum with the rest of Ascendant 5 running away. The Daisy's going to come back in, maybe calling for more of a play to happen, but it looks like she's just going to fall. Ivern will sidestep the Nami bubble, but this should be Dynasty's Drake to take for free. Udyr is walking down, but I still don't think Ascendant 5 can contest.
Yeah, not currently. They just have too much going with them. Too much tempo, steamrolling in. Vayne was a little bit too far into that fight. It was kind of ghosted in, stayed in, despite the TP being up for a while, and then having to use the flash to get out of that positioning. I mean, I think they did a very good job at being able to only lose the Braum in that particular endeavor, but I think the Vayne was in there a little bit too deep for too long.
Yeah, we talked about this a little bit earlier, but the Anivia wall actually ended up providing a little bit of value for the Poppy there, as she was not necessarily able to pin anyone on A5 against the wall, but actually was just able to keep them stuck on her physical character model. They weren't able to engage with that fight the way that they wanted to, and that was able to line up for a clean 3-man Poppy R into the kill secure on Braum.
We're finally getting a lot more champions across the board, getting completed items, and also now starting to get some people with their their upgraded boots. So we're going to be seeing a Bork on Vayne. I'm not surprised to be seeing that at all, but you have Smolder going. Essence Reaver, I think Essence Reaver has definitely shown a lot of promise this patch so far, but Udyr's finally able to finish out his item in the top lane. We have both mid laners having their completed items. However, the Wei has the advantage with the upgraded boots.
I will say I am actually a little bit surprised to see the Bork here from the Vayne. After the Kraken buffs in the last patch, that's been a bit of a go-to item for her. And certainly in this matchup, the speed reduction on Smolder is maybe not quite as important because I don't believe it affects his E. Smolder's, yeah, we're just going to do a little bit of light trading here. Ivern does not care to stay. Xin Zhao's just going to take this Herald for free, and that's, another objective going to the side of Dynasty.
At this point, I mean, obviously we knew that Xin Zhao was going to be able to put out a lot of early tempo for this game, and is definitely kind of living up to that. Obviously, there was a little bit of the early kind of downfall of the Ivern getting starting out 2-0 in the game, but I think Xin Zhao has been very effective in still picking up a lot of these topside objectives, and was able to get one of the Drakes. I am a little bit interested to see that picked up the what's the name of it? Titanic Hydra at this point.
Oh yeah.
I know it definitely helps for clears, but I'm surprised to be seeing it picked up already.
Yeah, the other itemization here that surprised me on the side of Dynasty is the Caster's Companion on the Way. It's not wrong necessarily. The Way is one of the few mages that I think can justifiably build all three of the Lost Chapter items. You got Malignance for his really strong ultimate. You've got the tier item because he's a very mana-intensive champion. And then, of course, this Caster's Companion is going to help him try to poke down this Anivia, which I think is good for this matchup. Just interesting to see nonetheless.
Hey, that's the name of that? I thought it was Hextech Revolver. Thank you.
Oh, there's the Braum going on to the Nami. Vayne ult will come out as well. She's going to Q, still get hit by the Nami wave, but will dodge the Smolder ult. She's trying to chase down now. Ghost invested from both ADCs. She is backing off as they are afraid of the Xin Zhao hovering, but he's not quite there yet. The Smolder is just doing a ridiculous amount of burst damage to the Braum right there as he doesn't have a shield to block it. And look at this. You've got your late game scaling champion just forcing out the Vayne.
Honestly, I'm quite surprised that this Smolder is doing this well so far. I'm going to be excited to see how the Smolder is played. I haven't seen many games of Smolder winning, so I'm curious to see if he's able to just blow him out of the water or not.
Is there any way to get a stat count check on that Smolder here? 151 already, so he's making some good progress. Online for, about like a 23-25 minute execute right there.
Kind of crazy. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, the clock is ticking here for A5. They've got to make something happen. Smolder already has, an entire tower worth of gold on him. I believe they got 4 plates out of that bot turret before it fell, so this guy's got a lot of gold on him right now.
But now we have Dragon coming up in 30 seconds. We're going to be having both teams trying to get early vision ready.
Xin Zhao getting caught out here? Question mark. There's the Anivia wall going down. Just a lot of stuns getting later on the Xin Zhao. The Nami ult is good, but it's going to force the Xin flash, and yeah, he's just dead. Poppy R knocks the Udyr away, but you're still missing your jungler, and you're not going to be able to secure this Drake anymore.
At this point, that's fine. Let it go. Start trying to cram for that mid lane tower. They will send Anivia to stop this push in its tracks. I think you try to get as much as you can off the map, but I don't know if you can really contest this Dragon anymore. And we're going to be seeing both teams and we're going to be seeing Starlight pushing top, mid, and bot lane. Way's going to be backing off here, but instead of just watching them take the Dragon, I mean, I think they made the smart call of just shove the side lanes, make them lose as much farm as possible for this Dragon call.
Yeah, that was a bit of a greedy play there on the side of Dynasty Starlight. I mean, I think that that Drake should have been yours. Your Smolder's very far ahead here. A5 is missing their bot turret. By all means, that Drake is yours, but Xin just never hit the blast cone in that bot side jungle and ended up leading to him getting picked. You gotta respect that the Anivia is able to block you off when you're standing in the enemy jungle like that.
Absolutely. I mean, I think another big thing important there was that Dank and the rest of the squad had very, very good vision coming into it. Ooh,
here's the Xin top side. Can the Udyr get out of this, though? Yep, he's CCing the end.
Yep. He's too imbued with the nature to be CC'd currently. Sorry. But now, Hailstorm is just going to be put into the crossfire again. They're going to be getting rid of that ward on the backside.
And they're looking to dive him here. The Ivern is here to help. I think that should be enough to get the Udyr out if he wants to, but it looks like he's just trying to actually clear the wave to stop them from even being able to go for the dive. The Poppy Stun is now on a Hailstorm. In comes the Xin Zhao. He's still CC immune, though. He can't do anything about it. The Nami ult is good on 3 targets of A5. The TP's coming out onto Daisy, is stopping Daisy from being able to help with this fight. I mean, I think it's good that the Anivia TP'd, but yeah, it was a bit weird. I mean, A5 surviving this play may be able to threaten Baron, but it looks like Dynasty's going to be able to pick up this mid turret off of it, and yeah, I think Dynasty's still fine with how that went. Oh, in we go now, though. The stun is going to go onto the Xin Zhao, but he just burst down the Udyr. The Braum is able to trade the kill out. Vayne is here, going on to the Nami. Is going to be able to secure the kill. Smolder stuck under the turret. There's the way teleport to help bail out the Smolder, but A5 is just going to pull back and get out of this one.
In all that for the cost of Hailstorm, which I think is perfectly fine. I mean, we're... Oh, I don't know. Never mind. Just did not have a shutdown, but now we're going to be getting into a fight again. Nivea is going to be able to catch out Hook and Fisted.
Unfortunately, Poppy's got that Hollow Radiance. She's not taking damage from that Anivia right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the onus currently is on A5 to try to open up the map a little bit. They've lost all of their tier 1 turrets and have not managed to trade out a single one in return. This is going to give Dynasty a lot of leeway to play around in A5's jungle here. Of course, you still have to be aware of that Anivia wall like we talked about before, but it's going to make it a lot easier for Dynasty to threaten objectives in a way that A5 currently can't.
So right now, looking at kind of the gold on both of these squads, I mean, I would not say that either team is in a dire position, but what do you think needs to occur for A5 to win this, and then what do you think needs to occur for Starlight to win this?
Well, the answer for Starlight's pretty clear. Smolder just pinged himself a couple seconds ago that he's at 207 stacks right now, and you can see they're giving him camps at the current moment to try to get him even closer to that 225. If you're at A5, now is panic mode. You need to figure out what to do in order to stop this game from bleeding out once the Smolder hits that 225 stack count. We see the two meat sticks are slapping each other around in the bot lane here. Doesn't really amount to much. Just some mild poking. They're a bit too tanky to care.
Sorry, y'all. It went to a slideshow for me, so I only got to see a frame of Udyr slapping a Poppy, and that's about it.
Well, we see the fight over 4th Drake is about to come through here as both teams are positioning. Wei still in the top side, does not have TP. He's going to have to walk down manually right now. We'll see if A5 knows and tries to force while it's still a 5v4. Clock is ticking. Smolder's forcing in this mid wave. Is A5 going to respond or just try to keep the river for Drake? There's the Ifern root is good onto the Xin Zhao. That's enough for Vayne to pop ult and just start sprinting after the Wei. He backs off. She chooses a new target. The Smolder ult hits only the Braum, but ends the Poppy R onto the Udyr. Now your front line's gone for A5 as the Smolder is just tearing people alive. The double kill. He's got his execute stacks, and you need to beware the dragon.
I wish I got to see any of that. Right now, I have nothing. So it sounded cool. It sounded great.
It was a
nice job, Starlight.
Fight there
for Baron sounds.
As the Smolder, I mean, at this point, A5 was not able to force him out of this game. He is way too strong, and you just don't have a clear answer for him. Dynasty's going to pick up the Baron. A5 is going to trade out another Ocean Drake in return, but I think Dynasty's still happy with this as you have no towers on the side of A5. Are you going to be able to stop this Baron from just forcing down mid lane?
I mean, one of the biggest boons that you have for that is going to be the Anivia. Anivia, obviously, just having that R is going to be able to help clear a lot of the wave off. Outside of that, you don't have a lot of wave clear in general, so Ink is going to need a lot of assistance here, and they're going to need the Anivia. I think they're going to be losing this mid tier 2, but then tier 3, I'm going to be surprised to see if they're able to take it or not. They do have the 5 grubs that they were able to take, so it's going to be another boon for them.
The Baron empowered 5 grubs is just shredding the turret right now. You can see they're calling the Poppy mid lane. They're not bothering with any complicated macro here. They're just going to bring 5 mid. They know they're strong. They just got to fight around the Smolder. And you can see he's already laying down some poke into A5's comp. Oh, Daisy going in and suiciding there. Okay. They are getting a lot of damage down onto this Nami. She's forced to flash away. The Smolder ult is going to get blocked by the Braum as well as the Wei ult, but it's still enough damage onto the Vayne, and there goes A5 spot lane. I don't think you're stopping this Baron push anymore with the Vayne dead. The Xin Zhao is going to go in. The Nami and Zen are so low, but A5 just does not have the damage. Anivia passive is forced, and she's cleaned up as well. Udyr falls, and it's just Smolder with 4 kills walking through A5 space. This should be the end of the game here. And
yeah. No, it's not. It should be. It is the end of the game. That is your day.
Yeah.
That's. Oof. All right. So A5 down, obviously a game. Obviously, coming off of that loss there, how do you really want to? How do you want to change your draft? Like, do you want to take the blue side and prevent them from just instantly taking Smolder? Do you want to change some of your bans from the first game? They tried to ban. Was it? No, they didn't even throw any bans at the ADC.
Yeah, they didn't. A5's bans in game 1 were Belveth, Maokai, Zyra, and then Shen and Syndra. I feel like if you're A5 here, you really need to ban out that, like, I'm hearing myself here. You really need to ban out that Smolder. I feel like even if you're blue side, I don't think A5 has like enough experience on the Smolder to try to like pilot that in the same regard. I think alternatively, if you want to go for red side, one of the things that you and I were talking about behind the scenes here is potentially looking at a Aphelios option. We saw there that the Vayne was just kind of getting bullied out of lane as she has the same effective range as Smolder. You know, maybe you go for an ADC that has better range, can try to bully him. You know, maybe you go for like a Kate Lux lane or something, and you play to say, okay, I may not scale as well as you, but you're never going to be able to reach that scaling. Or, I don't know. But point is, you certainly can't let the Smolder do what he just did to you, because that was a masterclass.
I mean, like, perfect option, Sivir. Like, it is very, very telegraphed when the damage is coming at you. You press the E button, you then heal, and then you can obviously get a lot of poke back at the laner when you are then clearing the waves with like whirling ricochet and then the boomerang. You're able to do something like that, but I think that playing with like the same effective range, I mean, you can dodge like the E coming out of Vayne, like you can dodge the E coming out of the Smolder, but Vayne was definitely, as you aforementioned, was just struggling altogether. So I think that you're perfectly fine with going with the scaling option, but I don't know if Vayne was the correct scaling option.
I think it's a bit weird. I think also the Xin Zhao was a lot better of a pick for them here than I think we were giving it credit for in draft. You know, we saw, as you talked about, that Ivern got the early 2-0 lead, but just wasn't really able to do anything with it because the Xin Zhao just is going to do more damage than you, right? Ivern is kind of forced to play through his laners as the ones who are dealing the damage. But really, Ivern's only laner that was doing damage here is Vayne, and she was behind the Smolder, right? Anivia is not really known for her burst damage. Udyr was opting for a more tanky build here as opposed to AP. Either way, he's not really going to be able to do much into a Poppy, so you're kind of trying to pilot a supportive jungle into 3 even or losing lanes here, and it's that kill gold is not enough for you.
Yeah, I mean, it like the early game. I think the only like difference that like if the kill didn't go on the Ivern, I mean, obviously it was red buff burn, so like it's not like I'm saying it's Ivern's fault whatsoever. But if like the gold went over to like the Anivia, maybe that would give her like a little bit of like a jump start to be able to get in that game. But Wei being able to pick up some of those early kills along with Poppy just made a lot of those like even matchups just transition over to just we're gonna start losing farm here, and we're gonna start like we're not gonna be able to then contest the next level, next set of grubs. We're not gonna be able to like do some like certain things on the map just because of the gold difference, and definitely it was very very apparent. I mean, Poppy was a force to be reckoned with. They couldn't really stop it. I mean, even when they had her pinned in a corner, like in like mid to late, like you even made mention of it of Hallowed Radiance didn't matter. It,
Yeah.
like just was able to chunk it all, okay, and just walked right out of it, despite stunned in the R with the wall, extending the walkthrough. It don't matter. So I think that you might be able to keep some of like your scale options on Ascendancy, but I think you need to at least have someone with a little bit more impact coming out of your lanes, or you have a roaming support. But with like someone like Braum, that's kind of babysitter duty. Uh, you might need to change a laner.
Yeah, if you're A5, might I suggest the Gangplank? Do we want to go for that Gangplank? I mean, that gives you.
Gameplays a little rough into Poppy, not gonna lie.
Yeah, maybe we don't let the Poppy through if we're doing that. But Gangplank does give you, he's a champ that still scales very well, but also has decent agency during the laning phase, depending on the matchup, depending on how skilled the Gangplank is in particular. I mean, God, I've watched Solar Baka run through how many bad matchups in the top lane with Gangplank.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, he's just a different. He's just crazy. Let's just call it what it is. An
Yeah.
absolute bona fide genius, and I mean, even just the R, just being able to drop that effectively on a fight is like, and nothing to balk at. If I recall correctly, it's like 15% slow. I mean, 15% slow with a little bit of damage over the top is never bad to just have on a global cooldown. So that is a considerable option, but I'm gonna be curious to see how they workshop it. Do you think that Starlight needs to change anything? I mean, there were like a little bit of hiccups, but I think they played fine.
I think Starlight's draft was fine. I still, it's hard to criticize the victor here, shall we say? But I still don't think we were really getting any value out of that Nami pick. I mean, she had a couple of good ultimates in the mid game that were, helping out in those team fights. I definitely think there are better supports to pick up with that Smolder, better supports to pick up to deny, Vayne utility. I would like to see that changed out. Alternatively, and this is definitely not something Dynasty has to go for by any means. I'm not even saying it would help them necessarily, but I have noticed that their jungler plays a lot of champs with knockups, and their mid has been playing a lot of Yasuo recently. So I am always a big fan of seeing the Yasuo mid. I very rarely get to see it in these types of coordinated games. We don't want that O10 power spike, obviously, but I still think it lends to a lot of fun games to watch.
Absolutely. I mean, like Diana Yasuo, always like a tried and true classic, or you can just run a Mel fight in the top lane. You're not gonna you're not gonna giga lose the lane if you play with like a head on your shoulders. Like if you play like a complete moron, yeah, you can lose top lane as Mel fight. But if you play with somewhere with all, you're always gonna have an engage tool. Plus, it's unstoppable. So always considered one of the best engage tools of all time. If you are looking to run the Yasuo, but Yasuo could be running the bot lane. I highly doubt it,
Ooh.
but I've seen some of that spicy tech this season, but I still think it's a little bit rough. Not gonna lie.
I mean, if we want value for the Nami, Yasuo's Yasuo's a good pairing there.
Oh yeah, of course.
Yeah, I mean, I honestly, to get back to your question there, I don't think Dynasty really needs to change anything with draft here. I think maybe we could play our early game a little bit better inside the game, but I think their draft ideas were pretty solid, and they can kind of stick to that game too. The only change that I would make is I don't really understand the point of their bans. Their bans were Ezreal, Varus, Graves. I do not see any of those champions on as like anything that Ascendant 5 has played recently. I don't know if I'm looking at like the wrong OPGG links or what's up, but well, they're hopping into draft right now, so we'll hop on over to that. A5 going with the Belveth ban again. Makes sense. You really don't want to give that to Dynasty's jungler.
So A5 and Dynasty are going to be swapping sides. A5 wanting, going to be opting for the prio pick this time, and Dynasty is going to be having the counter pick. Dynasty is going to be getting rid of that Ivern. They don't want that. Smolder is going to be taken out of the pool as well.
Yeah, we're not going for that B1 Smolder. We're not quite as confident there. It makes sense, if you don't want to play it, if you're worried about counter picks, you don't want to let that through. Dynasty still taking the Ezreal off the table is very interesting to me. Not really sure what they're going to be leaning to play bot side with that Smolder gone. I guess we'll just have to see what
it's a
the
fairly
draft
safe
has.
ADC.
Yeah,
It's fairly safe ADC. They might force them into like maybe a more immobile option, where then they can easily engage onto them. That is like a potential thing. I mean, Graves also is just annoying because Graves just loves to invade and is very effective at it, so that would be a reason. But they are getting rid of the way as well.
A5 respecting the way in the mid lane there. Makes sense. I think Wei is pretty good at punishing a lot of those like scaling mid laners. We talked about Dynasty, or not, sorry. Was that Dynasty with the Anivia last game? No, that was.
Yep. No, that was A5.
That was Dynasty with the Wei. Yeah. That was A5 with the Anivia. Sorry. Got everything twisted around. Yeah. A5 really likes those scaling mid laners of the Anivia there, the Vladimir, so it makes sense. They're just gonna first pick the Maokai, very stable champion. They were the ones who banned the Maokai in last game, so if you're blue side, you don't have to do that. You can just pick it up for yourself. Got our nice 3-way flex wise ancient tree here.
Yeah, Maokai, tried and true classic. I think it's just going to be very good. I think we're probably most likely looking at what they kind of play. We're going to be seeing that in the jungle. If I had to take a shot in the dark, but it's going to be Lucian pickup.
Lucian Nami?
They might just go Lucian. Yeah, I was going to say. Like Lucian Nami or Lucian Milio are just obviously very good ones.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see what they lean to. I think taking the Milio off the table is probably better than taking the Nami here. Just because, if you take the Nami, yeah, they're going to respect that. If you take the Nami, then A5 is able to slam back like an Aphelios Milio here, which is a bit of a worry. I think maybe, honestly, if you're A5, you can try to like send that Maokai as a support and just play something engage here. They are going to pick up the Aphelios. We'll see what they decide to pair that with. His best pairing is the Milio that's taken off the table, but really he can work with any enchanter. Maybe you pick up a Lulu here and you try to play the polymorph Dynasty's jungler.
I mean, one nice thing with Milio in this lineup altogether is just going to be the Breath of Life against the Maokai engage, where it's like a lot of times Maokai twisting Embrace is just so good to just be able to catch people out or then force a certain like type of movement, or then it's like, okay, one person's like, I'll take it, and then the rest of people are able to get away. Okay, that's gonna be Blitzcrank pick. All right, Blitzcrank. Honestly,
I like it.
That's not bad. If you can hook Milio, I think you might have potential for a kill here.
Yeah, I mean, Milio is great at peeling people off of him, but that doesn't really work when you're getting pulled towards the enemy. Blitzcrank, just the QE. Milio's not really going to have time to kick his little ball in between that, so it should be pretty good for trying to feed the Aphelios here, but Dynasty's going to pick up the Syndra before ban phase. I like that. I think it's fine. A5's probably going to take that off the table if you don't slam it on R3 here. It's a little bit weird to blind pick the mid laner when you don't have to, but if you really want the Syndra, then you really want the Syndra.
Syndra doesn't have like Syndra can play fairly safe from downtown. I mean, obviously it's going to be a little bit rough in the earlier portions, but you are able to just push away a lot of these opposing threats against you. She has a lot of range. She'll just be able to kind of get some of these slivers, and if she's able to survive, she's just obviously a monster in the late game. So I think Syndra is a fine enough pick here. I mean, it's like you could go like Syndra Victor, and you just play from downtown. Syndra Victor or Ori, you just play those from downtown, and I think you're going to be okay.
Yeah, Dynasty is going to take the Anivia away from A5 here, who's going to respond with a Rel ban. I'd like to see Dynasty ban out the Vladimir here. I think Vladimir is a solid answer to Syndra. She's just not able to press R on him, right? They're going to go for an Aatrox ban instead. So honestly, I'd like to see A5 pick up that Vladimir then. It's let through draft. I think you have a solid matchup here in the mid lane. Your only worry then is you probably need a strong side top laner. Otherwise, you're going to have 3 kind of iffy lanes.
Yeah, I mean, let's see if they put all those eggs in the scaling basket again.
Yeah, I'm
That
curious
was
what
going to be the last.
their fifth ban's
All
going to
right.
be towards Poppy. I think you're kind of lining yourselves up here. I think a solid like B4, B5 here for A5 would be Vladimir Kled. I think gives you a lot of like, you have your damage mid laner, good matchup, and then Kled with the Poppy ban, also the Aatrox ban. You're kind of setting up yourself for really good engage here, right? You got Maokai R, Kled R. It's really easy to get on top of the Dynasty roster, and I don't think Lily is going to be able to stop that. We'll see.
Yeah, I mean, I think Breath of Life is just going to be a very important tool to be effectively used to get away from the Maokai. But obviously, with the Blitzcrank on top of that, that's going to be a little bit tough. I think the timing for it is going to have to be very good.
Yeah, they are unsure. Oh, they heard me. Oh, they heard me talking about the Yasuo. Okay. I mean, that's a good answer to Cinder as well. You have your wind wall to stop, again, the ultimate to kind of save yourself from a little bit of that, like, epoch during the lane. You also, not quite as much synergy with the Maokai as you would hope, but I believe Maokai Q can proc Yasuo
Yep,
R. You just have
correct.
to be really quick with it.
Yep.
And there's the Ornn.
All right.
Okay. This is a very team fighty comp here from A5. Oh,
Ooh.
Dynasty. Wow, that they did not even have to think about that one. That was I'm picking Darius, I'm gonna win this lane. Okay.
So A5 opted again for oops all scaling again, which I think can work, but they are definitely going to be having a little bit of a tough time. I just looking at these drafts and looking at how the game was played last time, I'm going to be giving the edge to Dynasty. I think that we're going to be potentially seeing a 2-0 here, just because like Lucian Milio is just going to be able to harass the Aphelios.
Sure. So I may be a little bit copium here because I was predicting A5. I actually like their draft a lot more this game. It
I
is
think the
still
draft is better, yeah.
it is still oops all scaling. However, Dynasty has kind of locked themselves with these, the Lilia Darius picks here of we need to win the game before 20 minutes or we are going to lose. Because you let that Ornn get items online for the Aphelios, especially, but also the Yasuo, the Maokai. And you're going to be faced with basically a comp that just cannot lose team fights, right? They are way ahead in stats. They have better team fight champions. You are playing to hope to God that Darius and Lucian come out of lane far enough ahead that Ascendant 5 is not able to find a route into this game.
And one option for Dynasty here is they could just go for a 1-4. Is like on A5, who's going to stop a Darius if Darius gets
Sure.
rolling in this game? Like
That is
it's
fair.
going to be very like you're going to have to send like 2 to go like effectively deal with the Darius. If that happens, then obviously you then create a mismatch on the other portions of the map. So I think it's going to be very dependent on A, how Darius really performs in this game. B, Syndra obviously not feeding, but then how Lucian and Milio really bring it together. But
Yeah.
I don't think there's going to be like a crazy amount of pressure on the Lilia. I think she can just take it easy, farm it out, get your objectives whenever you can. But you can speed around the map much faster than Maokai.
That is true.
But as we wait for the game 2, we're going to see if this is going to be a clean sweep or if we're going to be taking this out to a Silver Scrapes game 3. We will be back with you on the Rift. Don't go anywhere. We'll see you shortly. Hello everyone, we are back with Game 2. Again, we're going to be having Ascendancy 5 on the blue side, and we're going to be having Dynasty Starlight on the red side. They're going to be going for an invade yet again, and that's just going to be a Blitz Hook thrown into the Oblivion, and not going to be finding any pickups there. Going to be going for a standard 5-point. That's going to allow Lilia to potentially throw a ward on that top side blue.
Oh boy.
We're about to get a little bit spicy out here.
Yeah, Ornn is about to walk right into this. Oh boy. Okay. They have a feeling. They have a feeling.
Oh.
I mean, this 2v2 is still really bad for Ornn Maokai if they do actually walk up into this. But it looks like Maokai is just going to be starting Wolves.
Please.
Like, we're just...
we're being toyed
with here. Oh no!
Let's go! That's a
ghost comes down.
Oh, he started Q though.
Okay, and that's the flash from Ornn. But I mean, Darius is more than happy to trade sums in a matchup like this, and Lilia is still going to be able to claim Maokai's blue buff here. That is a good play for Dynasty.
Absolutely. I mean, it's going to be Ghost for a flash, so obviously you're just going to be on the winning side of that. But I'm going to be curious to see how A5 is going to be responding to this. But any interesting Keystone Summoners in your opinion? I think one of the more interesting ones in my mind is the Phase Rush for Champion. I mean, obviously you see like a few different variants going for him in general, but it's going to be opting for the Phase Rush, which I think is fine for getting in and getting out.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's pretty standard down the road here. You know, Lucian may be able to opt for something like First Strike with the Enchanter here, but it's a little bit weird. Oh, there's the Darius pull. Will this be a dead Ornn? Not quite. The slow from Ornn Q will force Darius off, but I mean, as we talked about, Darius needed to look for that opening early on in the game, and I mean, he found it. Oh, the Blitz Hook goes just barely wide of the Lucian there. Frakes is playing with fire.
Absolutely. I mean, right now we're going to be having Champion going to go over to blue, take the Gromp. That's going to be really setting Lily behind. Like, yes, you got the sneaky little invade, but that's going to be losing your entire bot side of the jungle. But are they going to be then rotating over to pinch Champion off? Nope, they're just going to be putting a ward in that Tribe Rush. It looks like Maokai's going to be coming down from then for that gank, setting him up in a really good position here.
Yeah, this is a very good look for A5. The Blitz Hook is going to go down onto the Lucian. The Maokai is here now, and he is stuck in there. The Ignite will go on the Aphelios, and I think he actually trades out that kill. Not quite.
Lives with a tickle of health.
I think Aphelios has Triumph, if I'm not mistaken, then that surely was the only way he would survive that. I think the Fleet proc came out as well, or no, he cleansed the Ignite.
The cleanse.
There we go.
I was going to say the Ignite was burning through, but then the cleanse saved him on the last hit.
Oh.
But that's
Very good play for A5. Wow, yeah, he's just
dash. Okay.
Yeah, that was a questionable flash, especially when we don't have mana. I think Hook is just very desperate to try to exert this pressure here topside, but is not really able to do so. A5 is, however, just kind of forced to watch this Lilia. The flash is going to come over the wall, though. The root, she's going to flash away from it just in time. The Syndra stun is going to go onto the Yasuo. But Milio's here to help get the Lilia away. They're going to look to maybe turn this fight. The Blitzcrank with the flash hook is going to be a kill onto the Lilia. The Aphelios is here now. The Q stun. Oh, the Yasuo gets 2. He's chasing for more. That's 3 in the hands of the mid laner, and this game is starting to look pretty good for A5.
Yeah. I mean, that's just the worst case scenario possible. I mean, now Syndra is just going to be having a ridiculously hard laning phase, and just with that many kills being just spoon-fed over to the Yasuo, and now your bot lane is just... Your aggressive bot lane is still up CS, but is just kind of like losing kind of in the experience game. So, I mean, you also have topside that Ornn just shoved this in, so now there's going to be a big wave coming over to Darius. So Darius is going to be ahead on CS, but now there's going to be...
Lilia is calling for this play here. Darius... Yeah, Darius has the ghost popped here. The Ornn W will stop the E, but it's just not enough. Yeah. That kill will go to Lilia.
Thankfully for Ornn, it won't freeze on the top side there.
Yeah.
There's going to be a little bit of redemption. The wave will be... Okay, that's going to be forced out on TP. It was going to slow shove it to Ornn, but Ornn wanting to commit that. But we do have grubs up. I think that's going to be where Maokai and Lilia are going to be starting to path.
Here's the Yasuo, level 6, trying to go on to the Syndra. But just taking a little bit of a trade there. With the Berserkers in the crit already... With the Berserkers in the crit already, his trades are going to be really healthy. Just hitting the knock-up on the Syndra. You can see she's getting poked down a little bit. Yeah, I mean, just every time he goes in, he dashes through the waves, able to force the E out. And we're seeing A5 having a lot of lane pressure where they really shouldn't because of that bad play in the jungle.
Yeah, this might just be able to just let Yasuo freely roam to anything and everything that they really want, and that's going to be making it a struggle to try to go for some of these earlier objectives.
I think the one saving grace here for Dynasty is that this top side is going like you want it. Darius has the CS lead, is pretty much keeping the Ornn stuck under his turret here. I really think this Lilia needs to try to go get these grubs while she can.
Yeah. I mean, another important thing is that you also have a massive CS lead in the bot side of the map. I'm very interested that Darius is just early committing on the E every time.
Yeah.
Because that's just going to be Ornn just dash away every single time. I mean, you could just stand in the middle of the wave. mean, you just kind of beat up Ornn if he like tries to go for the fleet proc on you. All right, the grass proc. Uh-oh. Prey's
Oh
in
boy.
trouble.
Oh boy. There's the Blitzcrank cook. The Maokai's here too. The Ignite's gonna go down. The Aphelios is not quite here though, so they don't have a lot of damage. But it is still enough, as those are two meaty boys, and the tower is not gonna stop them.
Alright, you're gonna get your wish of Barcode coming in, getting these grubs. Has one down so far, but
yeah, I think A5 is more than happy to give those give those grubs and take the Drake. Sorry. Bit of a slip of the tongue there.
New item in League?
New item, yeah. What's it called? Yeah, so it is interesting. I'm curious why this Aphelios is down so much farm, because it doesn't actually look like he's been getting bullied by the Lucian all that much. I mean, O2 Lucian Milio is still strong, but I don't think it's, be down 20-30 farm at 8 minutes strong.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, I think they're just trying to play ridiculously safe and just not feed any kills into Lucian, because that is just one of their potential win cons, is Lucian getting snowballed. And if you're able to just kind of out-tempo that, I think they're going to be in a good position. But now, here it is. It's going to be Ink against Prey. Prey's not going to get hooked out there, and that's going to be champion here on the bot side of the map. It looks like we're just going to be sitting with a good old-fashioned vertical jungle. But now, Simon's here in the bot side of the map.
Yeah, I think Lilia might try to go for this tower die. I mean, that's 4-man bot lane. And yeah, with the Fed Yasuo here, you are not surviving that. That is 2 more kills to the Yasuo. And instead of 10 deaths, it looks like he's going for the 10 kill power spike here, as he's 5-0 already.
Yeah, the Avengers are here, and they cannot be stopped. So they are just going to kill your bot lane. But now, we're going to be seeing a...
Ooh.
That was ugly.
That was a lot of keys pressed to achieve basically nothing on either side.
Ivern did get... Not Ivern. Warren got out a lot of big cooldowns. Got out Ghost and Flash.
Yeah. He did miss the R2, though.
Yeah.
I don't want to give him too much credit there.
Yeah, it was almost a really good play until it wasn't.
Yeah, I mean, either way, I think that was a little bit of like a panic from Hook. Maybe he thought that the Maokai was topside somehow, and that's why he gave up both the summoners. But I mean, Ornn is just scaling fine. He's only down 10 CS in a really bad matchup where he's been perma weak sided the entire game. I mean, if you're Ornn, you're pretty happy with your performance right now.
I mean, you're happy with A5's performance. Right now, you are able to constantly gank for your win cons, and like both of them have like a big lead at this, like a decent lead at this point. I'm not gonna say Aphelios has a massive. Actually, Aphelios has.
Oh boy, here's Yasuo going in on the Syndra. She is almost dead already. The flash is gonna get forced out. That was a very clean wind wall from him to block the QE. The Blitzcrank hook is good on the Lucian, and he's just gonna get bursted down. That is enough damage from the Aphelios. Yoink! You are not under your tower. The Yasuo is here on the Lilia. And yeah, with the Kraken already, that's enough damage. Lilia ult comes out, but it's not enough to stop him. And this is just a massacre from the side of A5 down onto Dynasty.
At this point, it's already just looking supremely dire. Obviously, you're going to be having a lot of this gold, like that could bring you back in the game. But first turret down, obviously you can now go for the grub, so you won't be giving any of the advantage over to Dynasty, like for like the getting the void lanes. But obviously, your win conditions are in a very, very tough situation.
Yeah, I mean, Aphelios getting 5 plates worth of gold here is very illegal when you're drafting that strong of a bot lane in Lucian Milio. I think this has just been A5 playing around their win cons well. Here comes the Ornn ult down onto the Darius, but it is just 2 tanks trying to fight this guy down. Blitzcrank is here now as well. He's just going to toss the ult for fun. And Maokai will get the kill on the Darius. I mean, that is just 3 beefy boys.
Station.
Yeah, you know, he wants his assist. Yasuo is going to try to 1v3 here in the bot lane as he's going through Milio, Lucian, and Lilia. He is just going to kill the Milio, and now he's trying to 1v2 the Lucian Lilia, and the flash is going to come out the Q3. He is good on the Lucian, and there's a fourth person here now. They will finally stop the Yasuo. But it took 4 people, and he still cleaned up 2 of your members. I mean, that is not good for Dynasty.
Absolutely not. I mean, also you're able to shove in the mid lane, so you're able to get a lot of pressure there. But Elliot being able to pick up the kill is very important. Because at this point, I think your win condition is just Syndra. I think that we've kind of... We can't really ride the Lucian train anymore. We kind of lost that early tempo. And he can still obviously have a positive effect in this game, but at this point, I think Syndra is going to be where your bread is buttered on.
Yeah, something interesting to note here about this Lucian too. We took the PTA rune to try to win this lane here, but now we're in a bit of a difficult situation because we didn't. And you see he's going for the Kraken build. He recognizes he has to be the one to kill the Ornn, the Maokai, and the Blitzcrank. But without Lethal Tempo or Conqueror, I don't know that you're going to have enough damage to do so. You're very much relying on being able to stack, that continuous Kraken Slayer damage on one of these targets. It's just a bit of a difficult situation. We'll see if he's even able to get through these tanks. It's going to be hard.
Yeah. This is just going to be an uphill battle. I don't want to be too doom and gloom. I mean, they're only down 3k for like a 10 death deficit. So it's like, it could definitely be way worse, but now this lead is going to just start to be growing because obviously they're just going to be getting a lot of these objectives. Dang, can he get the hook? Yes, he does.
Oh,
there's
the hook
Milio.
is good onto the Milio. The Aphelios is going to... Oh! The Aphelios is going to send us ult into the jungle. Okay, well, Lilia is here now onto the Maokai. The Cinder ult's going to be invested for all of 0 damage. And that's a lot of cooldowns blown from both teams. Yeah.
Yeah, no objective outside of Rift Herald, but both teams wanting to really fight for the bot side of the map. I mean, there's
the
a lot of
Blitzcrank with the Yasuo.
But
oh, the hook not quite there. It looks like Blitzcrank was trying to go for like the, I'm going to run up at EU first, but just couldn't quite get on the Lilia with all that move speed.
Yeah, at this point, do you think it's even worth really go for Rift Herald, or do you think it's just better go for the 700 standing gold on the side turrets?
If you're Dynasty here? Yeah, I think you're. Yeah, I think you're just trying to go for the A5. Oh, for A5. Sorry. I think it's worth trying to pick up that Rift Herald still. Mainly just because I think that's going to help you get those side turrets. Like, I think it's hard to really up top lane here at all without the Rift Herald. Just because this area is still a threat into the Ornn. So you pick this up, you can maybe toss it behind the turret and look for like some sort of tower dive play here. Plus, you just don't want to give that opportunity to Dynasty to pick that up.
Fair enough, and it seems that they're just going to be pushing for a fight yet again, but that's going to be 4v2 currently, so they're going to be spacing it out, as they are unable to snag it quite yet, but
it's interesting that A5 pulls off of that that Herald there. I guess they're really just trying to force down this mid turret. With all this pressure here, the Lucian Milio are just going to have to back off and concede it. They'll pick this up and then probably look to take the Herald afterwards, I would imagine.
Yeah.
Well, instead they're going to be calling for a kill on the Lilia. Well. Maybe now?
Yeah, but now they can rotate it to it, yeah.
The ping's coming out from Dynasty trying to look for a kill on this Yasuo. They're investing 4 people down bot side. The Syndra stun is good, but he realizes something's up and he's just gonna run away.
Yeah, at this point, Yasuo, I think can just beat anyone in the side lane. I originally was saying if Darius gets fed, who's going to contest him in the side lane? Yasuo will.
Oh, wow. The Flash R from the Lilia will be good onto the Blitzcrank and the Aphelios. The Blitzcrank is in a bit of a rough situation here. He will flash away, will hit the hook onto the Lucian, but he pulled the Lucian into his own death. Now Aphelios is getting bursted down by the Lilia, who's on top of him. He can't get his R down in time, but the Yasuo is here to clean things up. Now the fight's looking a little bit better for A5, but still you lose your bot lane off of that play. was good playmaking there from Barcode. I mean, you get the kill onto the primary target there, but unfortunately the Yasuo just got back in time. There's the ghost from the Darius, the flash coming out from the Ornn. We'll try to walk away from this, and yeah. He gets away in time.
I mean, there's Darius. I mean,
we're drifting, Harold.
Oh. Darius pick was designed to like really stop the Ornn from getting farmed, getting some of these levels, and they're still the same levels, and he's only down 8 CS at this point in the game. So at this point, I don't really think the Darius pick panned out for all the ganks that you gave it.
Yeah, it's definitely a little bit rough, but I do think, weird as it is, you know, they're down 4k gold, they're down 10 kills. I do actually weirdly think there's a route for Dynasty into this game. The potential playmaking here from the Lilia is crazy, as we just saw. Plus with Syndra, you have a lot of like single target burst onto this Aphelios. If you can look for that kill, it's going to be a lot easier to deal with the Yasuo afterwards. And certainly after the Aphelios and Yasuo fall, the rest of A5 is not going to be able to fight you off.
Yeah, I mean, the one true question is, like, right now, who kills these tanks? Like, in that long fight. Like, you're saying, like, Yas. Like, with Yas and Aphel going down. Really,
there's the flash coming out from the Darius. The Lucian's topside as well. And Ornn's just going to E away.
Yeah.
I think we're not really respecting Ornn's ability to just walk away from things. As that has happened a lot. Ornn is now going to try to save his tower from the 3 people on the the 4 people on the side of Dynasty Pearl that are here. He will whiff the R2 once again and will die. I think the play could have been okay if Lilia wasn't there, but unfortunately she was. Either way, though, you are just buying time for your team to get this Drake, and now already A5 is on soul point. And they're probably going to get the spot tier too.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, like, you had to spend so many... Like, yes, you were able to get a tower. You're now able to get some tower damage on the bot side. It looks like they just might be trading T2s, but you don't have the minion wave here, so it's going to be a little bit longer than you really want.
Yasuo will just kill the Syndra. He's forced to flash away from the Darius, who's chasing him, though. Yeah, I mean, I feel like that's kind of a sign of the state of this game right now, if Yasuo is just able to kill the Syndra right in front of Darius and not get punished for it.
Yeah, this game, it feels kind of over. I don't often want to be too doom and gloom, but it's a 5k gold lead at this point. Well, okay, very close to a 5k gold lead, and that's pretty hard to come back against that kind of a deficit. Not saying it can't be done, but it's highly unlikely considering the draft.
Yeah, you already have your full crate Yasuo here. Looks like he's going towards Bork now as a 3rd item. I mean, this guy's just outputting so much damage. The Aphelios is certainly nothing to scoff at, as he has 2 crit items as well. It's going to be hard to shut down both of those carries. I mean, the Syndra just does not have enough damage with... I don't even know if she can necessarily proc the Storm Surge. I think it's a bit hard. It's a bit hard if you're Dynasty.
Yeah, at this point, you just have to keep sending the Darius here.
Darius Ghost.
The Ghost.
But the rest of A5 is topside. That's going to be Yasuo's teleport invested. They're just going to look to kill this Darius as the Maokai's here. And yeah, I don't think Darius can fight off 5 people, unfortunately. That kill's going to go over to Aphelios, and they're maybe just going to look to Baron off of that. Yep, yeah, they are.
This is free Baron.
Dynasty will be able to trade back that mid turret, but I don't think they can contest this. They're gonna try to walk for it, though. This might just lead to their deaths afterwards. There's the Maokai R is gonna force them back off. And yeah, no more kills coming out, but still, that's A5 just getting a free pick onto the Darius and a Baron as a reward for it. And now, as you can see, Ornn is getting those upgraded items coming through. He's got his own Jack Show now, as well as the upgraded Kraken for Yasuo. What is that? Wormfallen Sacrifice?
Yep. And then it's Unspoken Parasite for the Jack Show.
Ooh, okay. Some really, really cool names there.
I used to know all the mythic ones for like last season, but now with like the addition, with the removal of mythics, I don't know, like, the four, like, I think it's like 33 that they added, like, new ones. So it's like, I'm gonna have to either relearn that or just not care to relearn that.
Yeah, that is the curse of a caster. You know, as the game develops, there's constant learning to be had. Lilia is a little bit afraid to take this ward as she feels the Blitzcrank's on the other side, but we'll be able to get it. And now, again, A5 just keeping things simple. We're going to invest a lot of people mid, try to force this open. We are 4-1, though. This Ornn is in the side lane. We talked about who can stand up to this Darius. I think even the Ornn can at this point. You know, he's not going to kill the Darius, but he can at least walk away from it. As he just has 2 armor items, the Darius isn't really going to be doing all that much. It is the Syndra here to try to stop him, though.
Even with Syndra, I don't think she's gonna be able to just like blow him out of the water. Just like a Jack Show or an Unspoken Parasite is just gonna be too much at tanky stats coming in, and they're now just gonna be doing a poke off in the mid lane. I don't know if anything really needs to come out of this. You just can kind of keep shoving this. You have to. Is the bear? Yeah, bear buff is still there. I can't tell for how much longer. I think it's like 2/3 of the way through if I had to guess. But then you also have Drake coming up, which is going to be Soul. And if you can just keep these lanes shoved, you can just walk over to Soul. And that's just going to be a free, easy grab. And then from that point on, I think the game is just 100% out of reach. Just because the amount of tanks that you have on your squad with the Mountain Soul, and like with the, like, you don't really have anyone that can kill the tanks on the side of Starlight right now.
Yeah, I mean, with the goal deficit that Dynasty's trying to play out right now, I just don't see any way they can even contest this Drake, but unfortunately they have to. I don't think you can afford to give A5 Mountain Soul for free. So, you know, yeah, you can see the call is here. Syndra is trying to pick up bot side. Will probably walk through the jungle alone. There's the Maokai advance going through. The Darius is just bursted down. The Ornal is good onto the Lucian. The Lilia will fall as well, and A5 makes the call that we don't even need the soul anymore. We're just going to try to end your base. The Syndra will, in the face of all those tanks, still be able to just press R on the ADC and kill him. That is the life of a bot laner, unfortunately, but this should just be the game for A5.
All right, so what do you change for draft on this next one?
Well,
do you go back, like, instead of going for like a scaling jungler, do you maybe want to go back to just your tried and true early enablers?
A5 is actually going to make the call to not try to end and instead go for this the soul. I think it's respect paid to the fact that, you know, the Lilia and the Darius are alive again. You know, might have been hard to end without the ADC. You have to get melee range of the turret. I think it's a respectful call. In terms of draft, if you're Dynasty, I don't think it's the Lilia that's the issue. I think it's the fact that you just have no front line, right? Like, your Darius is not tanky enough to try to go into these team fights. You were playing to do some weird, like, maybe 1-3-1 side lane thing in the mid to late game, and that just doesn't work when you're behind.
No. I mean, they put so many chips on being able to kill Ornn, and Darius just was unable to get the job done. So I'm curious as to just like what, because like I do think the Lilia played perfectly fine, but just I guess a lot of it came down to just the goofy clear and how it started out in the early game, and then just how it kind of turned into vertical jungling / Lilia overextended and try to get too fancy with it and go for the bottom right, the bottom blue quadrant, and then just the game devolved from there.
Yeah, I will say, I think an interesting route that Dynasty could have taken this game. I don't think vertical jungling is necessarily bad for them here, but you need to do it bot side, not top side. And that was the issue that they had. If you vertical jungle for your Lucian Milio here, they don't have to worry about the Blitzcrank as much. You can look to make some plays under tower, really shut this Aphelios out of the game. And worst comes to worst, Darius shouldn't get punished by Ornn Maokai, right? He's going to be able to get out of that. He might not threaten the Ornn as much, but he's not going to get punished. Speaking of getting punished, Ornn might fall here in the side lane to the 2 AP champions. He is going to bring the ult out. Is going to layer a lot of damage onto this Lilia. She's forced to back off, but still Syndra going. A5's going to return a play onto the top side, onto the Darius. The hook will go wide, but Darius should still die. They're going to have to invest the Maokai ult to secure that kill. Ornn is still tanking here in the bot lane. He will finally fall, but A5 is just going to walk down topside as Lucian and Milio are retreating to Fountain.
Yeah, Darius almost got that Q off, and maybe would have given him a little bit of spark of healing, but I don't think anything would have really changed in that scenario whatsoever. But Ornn is down. You don't have your engage, you don't have that engage tool, but hey, we can still go along with some of your other options. I mean, Blitzcrank, I think, is the only one you effectively have at this point, but that's still a very good engage tool.
I think A5 is just going to, again, play a respectful game here and go for the Baron, use that as their end tool. They have 2 inhibs cracked. They don't need to be fancy and try to go for a kill right now. Although that hook is going to be good onto the Lilia. And yeah, okay. Well,
they're going to play a respectful game that precedes the bush cheese.
You know, respectful means different things to different players. As they're going to bring the Ornn TP out, and the Yasuo is just going to dash straight onto the Darius. He's dead. The Lucian ult comes out. Doesn't matter. There goes Syndra. Yasuo's going to try to look for a flash Q3. It's not quite enough to get onto the Lucian, but there's just no way Lucian and Milio can try to fight off this entire team, as Lucian will actually die in his Fountain to the Aphelios R. The ult's going to go onto the Milio, and he will also die in Fountain. And that's just a clean end there for A5.
Ugh, that was ugly.
Yeah, I mean, we're going to game 3. That was...
Yeah.
That was a bit of a dominant game there from A5. You know, we talked about towards the end of that game there what Dynasty needs to do to win this game 3. I kind of stand by it. I'd like to see us return to, you know, maybe a tanky top laner. If you're gonna pick this playmaking champion and not make plays, you kind of got to respect that it's just not the vibe for today, and you know, play what's working. I think the Lilia jungle was fine. She made the one play that Dynasty had that entire game was on the back of her flash R. So I think that's okay. Xin Zhao is maybe a little bit easier, a little bit more stable, but it's okay.
Yeah, I think that she's fine. I would say Champ was fine. The choices made for the early game to force your team into some of these plays. Because in level 1 through 3 in a lot of the skirmishes, you're gonna have Milio and Lucian do fairly decent. Syndra's gonna be struggling versus Yasuo. If you force a fight out that early, Blitzcrank is gonna be brutal to face in the jungle there. So it's either you blow people out of the water, which you really can't do as Lilia in the early portions of the game. It's only once you start getting a few items that you're able to just secure these kills very quickly. So I think that they can definitely stick with what they had, but they need to execute more effectively. I did like the early cheese option. I was kind of surprised to see the Q coming out of the Darius. I thought just you're gonna ghost instantly, auto W, and just go for that route. So I think just some of these early game decisions just need to be changed around a little bit, and I think they can turn it around.
Yeah, I want to give credit to A5's jungler that game. I think that play where he fully wrapped around bot lane and was able to get that flank on the Lucian Milio to give that early kill to the Aphelios was just hugely instrumental in giving A5 the route into that game. Also, of course, props to the Yasuo. I mean, that triple kill, he got all that early gold and was able to utilize it very effectively to try to carry that game.
Absolutely. At this point, I would rather if I was Starlight. I would almost rather have them play the Anivia, because that having someone that can't roam, can't do some of the earlier stuff would be probably more effective for them, and just slowing down the tempo of the game, because I think Dynasty wants to play for the early tempo. I think they did much better with the early tempo.
Yeah,
so forcing people go into the scaling versus
I agree.
Someone who can roam.
It definitely seems like both of these teams are good at shutting the other one out when they get that early advantage. So
yeah,
I mean, it's especially, I think, a little bit easier for A5 to do that in this last game because they had a draft that got to scale way earlier than it should have scaled. So, at that point, it becomes very easy to shut the enemy team out. But still, sorry, what was I gonna say? That draft idea is something that they can look into. I liked that we saw, the Yasuo. That was something that I was talking about beforehand. I was very happy to see that. I'd love to. Although, that was Yasuo on the other team. Yeah, that was Yasuo on the other team. If I was taking that away from Dynasty. So, hey, maybe we'll see Dynasty take that away from them this game.
Well, as we wait for the draft to get ready, we're just going to push over to a very short commercial break. We will see you back with the draft, and we're going to be having that Silver Scrapes Game 3. Hello, everyone. We are back with the game 3 between Ascendant 5 and Dynasty Starlight. We are going to be having the same sides as game 2. Dynasty Starlight feeling comfortable with the counter pick. Actually,
Yeah,
no. Back to game 1. Sorry. Apologies about that.
back to game
Or
one.
no.
No. It's game two. You had it. You had
Okay,
it.
yeah. I was
Yeah.
right.
Yeah, I think Ascendant 5 here is honestly fine with this. I think that the idea that like B1 Maokai is still really comfortable for them. I feel like honestly Dynasty should respect that and probably ban that Maokai out from them. But I think that Ascendant 5 has some, decent B1 options here. I think they're always comfortable with like B1ing that jungle. So you can go with Maokai, you can go with a Rel that's still a flex into the bot lane. You can maybe go with a Vi. The only issue if you B1 a tank jungler like that is you're clearing the way for Dynasty Starlight to pick up some sort of carry jungler later on in the draft that they're happy with as well.
Absolutely. Okay, they're still going to be respecting the Ivern this time. Curious if they're going to be sticking with the Ezreal and the Varus, but if I'm getting rid of the Smoller, we don't want to be seeing that.
Yeah, we'll see if they go for that way ban third again.
Maybe.
Yeah, they might just keep it the same. Dynasty looking for their second ban here. I mean, that Ezreal's been pretty consistent for them. Ezreal Varus has been their last two. They're going to respect the Maokai this time. Which means one of those ADCs is being let through for A5, and we'll see if they decide to pick one of them up.
I think out of the two, probably the Varus is just good utility-wise, but is immobile versus Ezreal doesn't bring a lot of utility, but is quite mobile. So it's like either you ban whatever you like. If your team wants to dive, you get rid of the Ezreal. If you don't want to dive, then get rid of the Varus.
Oh,
They're gonna take
okay.
Ezreal themselves.
They're gonna handshake these. I mean, Ezreal is I would argue a good answer to Varus. I feel like Ezreal kind of forces you to go for on-hit Varus here. Poke Varus is not going to be consistent into a champion with, a dash for a basic ability. But we'll see. This does theoretically mean that A5 can pick up like Varus Milio and just go full poke Varus here. Or not poke, on-hit Varus here.
Important thing to keep note is that Arcane Shift is able to also buffer through Varus ult, so that's going to be a little bit difficult for Varus to really stop Ezreal in his tracks with the corrupted chains. But with the Rel pickup, that's going to be very nice. That's going to be very, very aggressive to potentially get onto this Varus.
I think
I'm curious as to what they're going to be picking up.
We're probably favoring that as Rel jungle here. I think Ezreal Rel is a little bit of a weird bot lane to play, especially if we're looking at A5 picking up Emilio here. I really think that Emilio is consistent with your, it denies Rel a lot of her value. It forces her to not be played as support in this instance. And you can look to take some sort of tank jungler that's able to answer. Alistar is also perfectly fine here. I'm not as big a fan of that, to be honest, but Alistar does keep the option of like poke Varus open for you. So I think it's okay. We'll see what they answer, probably with jungle now.
Yeah. You could still do Rel as support, but then have her as roaming support.
Yeah.
Because like Ezreal can kind of just like sit in lane and just queue from downtown.
I am honestly very keen on Ezreal Karma bot lane here. Just like poking the Alistar away from being able to really do anything. They're A5's gonna lean towards Brand jungle here. Okay. I don't mind that, to be honest. That is, Brand can kind of just walk into Rel's jungle if they do put her there, and take whatever he wants, more or less.
Fair enough.
This is kind of looking at like a shift away from A5's traditional strategy of like going for these scaling champs, though. Varus Brand is definitely like tempo. We're trying to play strong early game here. Dynasty is going to pick up that Zac jungle, and we're playing around like currently Ezreal's solo carry, so they're going to need some strong mid laners. I'd be down to see A5 like ban out the Syndra again. Obviously it didn't go great for them last game, But I don't really think that was the Syndra's fault so much. I think she played perfectly fine. They're going to ban out the Yasuo, which means they probably are leaning towards some sort of, mage mid laner here.
Yeah.
Or is this Syndra ban? Okay. Teams are pretty clear with what they want out of draft here. They're respecting each other. I like to see that. Yeah. What do you think Dynasty needs to round out the comp here?
I mean, right now you want something that just like you could just play poke right now with A5 and it wouldn't even be bad because like you have just really good was it Peel Tool with Alistar, I mean Varus R. Even if like you caught a Zac mid hop with Corrupting Chains, I think you're gonna be doing perfectly fine. I mean, currently I think Victor would be fine enough. Maybe not Victor. I think Cassio might be very good here because like Rel and Zac would have a very very tough time trying to get to Cassio, and then Rel always has the hard time of trying to get out of a fight. And then if you throw Miasma in the mix of things, I think Rel is just dead if she goes in. So
the Shanna ban from Ascendant 5 is very interesting there. I think they believe this is a Zac top, which it actually probably is with the Kindred locked in there. Okay. So Dynasty here has got the triple jungle draft here. That's very interesting to see. But they do need some heavy AP mid laner here. Oh no, not the Darius, please. That did not go well for your opponent last game. Don't pick the Darius here. No. You already have enough damage.
Tough time against Darius.
Maybe, but it's okay. I understand.
If Zac hops at you, you just pull him.
Sure.
It just stops the hop.
The matchup is definitely good for Darius, but I don't know that I trust the ego picks here, especially in the top lane. These top laners have been very good at not dying to one another. So I think Darius kind of puts you... A5 has kind of drafted exactly... Like, obviously not the same champions, but they've kind of drafted the same style of comp as Dynasty played last game. And obviously that didn't go very well for them, so I'm a bit curious as to the mentality here.
Okay, so this is going to be Brand mid lane, Alistar support, Amumu jungle, Darius top, Varus ADC.
Oh yeah, that is Brand mid. Okay. What do we think about that? I feel like Amumu has a really hard time contesting Kindred. I think you just gave yourself a worse jungle matchup there.
Yeah. I mean,
yeah. That seems a little counterintuitive. The Sylas comes out. I think Sylas is fine here. You've got Varus ult to steal, Brand ult to steal, Amumu ult to steal. In terms of your mid lane matchup, I think it's a little bit weird. You're probably going to get poked out by this Brand, but it's not the worst thing in the world.
Yeah, it's been better. Okay, looking at this, who do you give the immediate edge to for draft?
I give it to Dynasty. Same. Honestly, I do. I think we had a solid like B1-2-3 there with the Varus Alistar Brand. And then we got to the other side of second ban phase and we just fell apart. I don't really know what the Darius, like I get what you're saying where it's it's a really good top or matchup top side, but it's very ego, and then the Amumu just seems completely counterintuitive to what we want to do this game. I mean, we need engage, right? Maybe we're not trusting the Alistar to be able to set things up very well, but I don't really think we want to be going into the enemies so much as we want to be like 4-1ing with the Darius in the side lane and just trying to poke the enemy off of us. And I think the Amumu just... I don't get it. I'll be honest, I don't get it. I don't see the vision.
Yeah. I mean, I understand that you can't really run Brand into Kindred because you will never land the stun. Like, Kindred will just hop away from that every single time. So, like, I get, like, fine. Okay, you put Brand mid, but as your counter to Kindred, Amumu, yeah, definitely still feels rough. I would have definitely liked to see... You don't even have to go for, like, lockdown jungle. Yeah. Because, like, they got, like... Everyone on that team has a dash. Like, it's going to be very hard for Mumu to play the game in general. Honestly, I think Graves would have been, like, a much better pick.
Yeah, sure.
Then it's like, Kindred versus Graves, like Graves kind of just wins that, especially like in the early game. Obviously, towards later, if Kindred has a bunch of marks, then it gets a little bit tougher. But like the true grit really just carries through, and Kindred has a very hard time if Graves starts invading early.
Yeah, I agree with that wholeheartedly. I think even if you know are not wanting to angle towards a carry jungler here, I think there are just other champions that have an easier time dueling Kindred aren't going to lose so hard as a pure tank like a Mumu. I think it's just a bit hard, but we'll have to see how it plays out in game, of course.
Obviously, yeah. All right, well, as we wait for the thrilling finale for this set, we are just going to push to a short commercial break. We will see you back on the Rift. Don't go anywhere for the big finale. Hello everyone, we are back. We are going to be having A5 on the blue side, and we're going to be having Dynasty Starlight on the red side. We aren't going to be going for any cheeky early plays this time. We're going to be just going for a solid 5-point across the board. Any interesting Keystone summoners that we want to make mention of?
Well, we are going for the on-hit Varus with that lethal tempo, so I'm glad to see that. I don't know if I'm as big a fan of the glacial rel here, to be honest. I probably would have preferred Aftershock in this lane, but I think it honestly probably doesn't make that much of a difference in the end.
Yeah, I think it's like that one could be definitely contestable. I would say the first strike, Silas. It's just like it's going to be potentially a little bit rough considering you're against a ranged matchup. So it's either you're going to have to pick your moment very, very wisely, or otherwise you're hoping on the good graces of Brand to not just proc your first strike.
I think the idea behind that is not necessarily for lane, more so just being able to one-shot people in the late game. You know, you pop out of a bush. I also noticed we have Grasp Zac. It definitely makes sense with the character, but I also don't know how you proc Grasp in this lane without just dying. At the same time, I don't know what other rune he could have gone, so...
Darius pushed him off a wave, but Darius only got one of the first three.
One of the minions, yeah. Oh, well, he is losing a trade right now into the Grasp Zac, so I will eat my words, I guess.
This is just going to be a time and a half. I'm very curious to see how this gets played out. I don't get to see Zac top often.
Yep.
I do like Kindred going Conquer versus like Lethal Tempo or PTA, because I think that this is just going to be definitely a really scale-heavy game in particular. So that Conquer, I think, is going to be very effective at accomplishing that task.
Agreed. I think it's also going to help you to try to kill that Amumu and Alistar that Ezreal's probably going to struggle with a little bit more. He does also have that Conqueror, but Ezreal's just not a great tank buster, unfortunately. So I think Kendrick can make up for it a little bit in that regard.
He just builds Divine Sunder. Oh, wait.
Yeah, true. Items gone. Have we seen Ezreal's building Sundered Sky? Is that a thing?
Oh, no.
No, okay. I didn't think so, because there's no Sheen, but Sundered Sky is supposedly the replacement for Divine.
Yeah, Aelin is just going to be getting out of that.
Yes.
But Elliot poked out.
Yeah, Elliot's getting a really bad trade there. Very hard for, the healing champ to try to lane into this Brand with the burn. Champion's hovering this mid lane for quite a while trying to look for something. He has completely skipped his bot side camps as he's just trying to look for this kill. Kindred's bot side, though. Rel's going to go in. Will find the flip onto the Varus. He's going to be forced to flash away. Flash maybe a little premature with Alistar still hitting that knockback, but I mean, he's just respecting the Rel Q, so fair enough.
Sadly, Marco is going to be pushed over to the top side of the map, so Kindred isn't going to be getting a big payoff here, but now Kindred's going to be going for this camp. Aelin's going to be coming in the sidelines. They do see that, but the big scuttle, big Krug is then taken by Ink there, so good awareness.
Wow.
Elliot
Amumu going on to this.
Flashing away.
Yeah, first blood for the Brand. Nice job. I think Kindred's a little bit sad about losing Mark, but is completely fine with just taking one of Amumu's camps here, and also potentially setting up another vertical jungle situation.
Kindred just really chose the mark of Varus, so Varus might be a little bit wary.
Yeah, Dynasty should have a pretty clear angle here to just push this wave in back and then look for Drake after the reset.
Oh, are we getting some action here? That's going to be initial stall into Dank. Nope. All right, this is boring.
No. Yeah, just a little bit of light poking between the tank supports. Nothing unusual. Amumu and Darius are here on the grubs, though. Kindred is just trading out his chickens, and will look to go take Drake afterwards. No, she's actually just going to hit the reset. So A5 is going to be able to take these grubs for free, actually, and potentially still be able to commit to contest on the Drake. Wow, really good poke damage there on the Sylas. Amumu calling for the play on Sylas again. This might be another kill, as the chain will connect, and yeah, that's just Sylas falling. Champion making some really good plays here with the Amumu.
Yeah, I mean, just coming into this altogether, I was a little bit surprised. I mean, you definitely knew the picks that were coming out. You chose Sylas as your counter pick to this matchup, and honestly, it feels like a counter currently. Obviously, that's not saying that it'll always be like that for the entirety of the game, but definitely looking very rough to start out the game, and you're going to already have the burning guys on the Brand, so Brand's just going to be pumping out even more and more accelerated damage.
Yeah, I think we saw, you know, some big team fight ultimates here on the side of A5, and we're like, okay, I see team fight ultimates, I'm gonna pick Sylas, and we didn't think about whether Sylas could actually survive this lane or not.
Yeah, so I think it's just a good job on Champion, just recognizing that, hey, this is just free, easy ganks in the mid lane.
Right. I'm looking towards the bot lane here, though. Varus is getting just forced off this wave by the Rel. Surprising, to be honest, that, I mean, I guess with on-hit Varus, you're not quite as strong in the laning phase as you would be with poke Varus, but still it's strange to see him behind, as it were. Kindred's looking here on the top side on the Darius. The Zac will go in, will get the CC chain. Now the Kindred is here. Darius is popping the Ghost, and the Flash is going to try to run away from this. It looks like he'll be able to get out. Nope, Kindred Flash. The Darius pull, though, is going to try to turn this. The Q is good, and he will just barely survive with enough health.
Kindred needed to use that E sooner to get that slow. But
Yeah.
Hailstorm able to just effectively survive there at the cost of both sums, but I think that's perfectly fine.
Yeah, I mean, making it out of that play alive, and you know, the rest of your team is just clear to take this Ocean Drake pretty much for free. Kindred is going to be able to pick up this mark in the top side, but she's hemorrhaging objectives right now, so it's a little bit rough. Oh, never mind. A5 will not decide to fight for this Drake. I suppose it's a little bit hard with Ezreal getting that reset. You know, you can't really contest with 0-item Varus. So it looks like Dynasty will actually be able to pick up this Drake.
First Drake in the game, that's perfectly fine. Yeah, I think this is just going to be easy. I think this might just be their win condition for the game of just play it nice and slow, take it nice and easy, just keep getting all these objectives, and then eventually you'll get the marks on Kindred and Ezreal, and then you will just have so much range that it'll be very hard to deal with them.
Yes. Now, one of the things that I do think Dynasty needs to watch out for is A5 being able to pick up all these grubs again. They got 3 out of the first grubs. If they get all 6, the Varus will be able to take towers so very fast. You're going to have to watch out for that.
So right now, we're going to be having these grubs spawning in like under 50 seconds here. So they really need to get moving now and get some of this vision set up. And Zac is trying to shove out the top lane as best he can. And it will be crashing in. He might get the plate, but... Okay, Zac's going to be staying. We have a moving up there. Kindred's going to be coming down as well. But bot lane, we're not going to be seeing a Rel roaming whatsoever.
Oh, Israel not quite clipping the Varus there, but we'll still be able to force down this wave pretty easy. Amumu is going to look on these grubs immediately. He does have bot and mid pressure. Or is he just walking away? Can't really tell. No, he's doing them. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, this should just be 6 grubs then for A5. Pretty easy clear for them.
I mean, you both have Darius, who's going to be then just a split push god, and then also the Varus, who's just going to be able to siege with this team very effectively. But now it looks like they're going to be going for the
Whoa, Amumu going in. Gonna hit the massive ultimate, but he's still just stuck between 3 people. I mean, without either of your damage dealers there to back you up, the Amumu ult doesn't really mean much.
I think you're just going to be invading into the jungle. That's going to be another mark going over to Kindred. I think this is going to be Kindred's second mark of the game. I can't recall. Oh, this is going to be number 3. Sorry.
Yeah, this is still, I honestly think, not that bad for A5, all things considered.
Yeah.
They did get all 6 grubs, and as you can see, Varus has already managed to take 2.5, possibly 3 plates here off of that. Because the Rel was topside, helping that play happen. You know, you're still fine. Your ADC's up 15 farm here. Your mid's up 20. Your top's up 10. Although your top's about to die, I think, to this Kindred gank. He's gonna walk out of it. Thankfully, has the speed boost. Bars is picking his own bounty right now. He knows he's strong. A5 is gonna try to get some. Try to make some plays happen around bot side, I believe, as Kindred will certainly not be able to get that mark.
Jack's in trouble on the top side, just getting crammed in. And I mean, Darius just putting in a lot of work.
Yeah, this is more so what we are expecting from the Darius than what happened with the Ornn game there. So the pick looking a little bit more clean than I gave it credit for in Champ Select.
I think the more important thing is not just trying to cram the ganks into just like trying to get them killed, but just having enough presence in the top lane to then go get the objectives, which I think was a little bit different than last game, where then it's like they're trying to put the Ornn 6 feet under, but I don't think that is the important aspect. But I think it really heads up pickup is going to be the Executioner's Blade, but now we're going to have Kindred Aelin. Are they going to be able to get it?
Uh-oh. They are looking on the Rel here. Kindred launching some massive damage on the Amumu, though. The Sylas is here now. The Zac TP is good. They'll trade out the kill 1 for 1 and blow both flashes from A5's bot lane. Well played from Dynasty there, as it looks like they're going to be able to confirm Drake off that.
That's going to be a jungler for a support, so yeah, as you said, free easy dragon at this point. You have Drake coming up in 40, so Amumu will be back by then, but they can just really set up some great vision, and you're missing a lot of the mana on Ink.
Yeah. Darius going for this proxy now. He's getting very far ahead, but the Zac TP down, obviously. Looks like he's... Okay. Was wondering if he's going to try to maybe force the Zac off of his turret, but not quite so much. The Zac ult's going to come down. Darius Ghost is going. Kindred is topside, actually, so won't be going for the Drake right now. The Sylas going onto the Brand as well. Is Darius going to get out of it? Yep, he is. Okay. Okay.
There'd be a lot of XP given up by Zac there.
Yeah, you're really trying to make something happen, and granted, he did get the Darius Ghost, but
Yep.
You know, it's a trade. It's a trade.
So now Kindred is kind of left in between. Ooh.
Oh boy. Oh boy. That's a lot of damage onto the Zac. Oh, the flash invested from the Darius. He's going to try to go for that R, but can't quite get there.
Yeah, the phage movement speed fell off, so unable to get there. But now Amumu is just going to be looking to go for this Rift Herald, just wanting to play on the top side of the map, just going to be going for these objectives. They're just going to be just pushing through. Honestly, they could funnel a lot of gold into Darius here on the top side, but now there's going to be a drag fight. Potentially, I don't think so, but Brand is moving.
Kindred is opting to reset here. I think Dynasty doesn't know that Amumu's on the Herald right now. This does present A5 the opportunity to actually contest this Drake after all. It feels very illegal that A5 is allowed to contest both of these objectives, but I mean, if you don't know, you don't know. That's credit to their vision control. Oh, wait, hold on. Amumu has Leandries.
Yep. Some people are doing that these days. Also, it's going to be a very good tank cluster with the curse, but now they're going to be going for this dragon. At this point, I don't think they can stop it. Yeah, I mean, I personally would not have picked that up like immediately, but hey, let's see how it works out.
Yeah, it was interesting that Amumu just walked into his own topside there, as opposed to trying to walk down and fight this He will go onto the Silas here. Silas has no mana. There's no way he is making it out of this alive. And yep, he will fall to the Amumu himself. It was interesting to see that Amumu opted to just walk into his top side there as opposed to walking down and maybe contesting this Drake, but maybe they thought it was difficult with, Kindred having that Kraken Slayer. Maybe you're not going to win that fight. In goes the Alistar, trying to look for some sort of play here. That is a lot of damage down onto this Rel. She's going to go back in. The Ezreal is there. The Varus will kill the Rel. This Herald's going to pick up mid lane. As now they're going to keep chasing onto this Ezreal. He is forced to flash an E away. This bot tower should go to the Varus, and obviously mid is just being destroyed by this Herald now and the 6 Grubs. I mean, this is the strength of getting all those topside objectives. Amumu's going to go on to the Kindred. That's a lot of damage, but not quite able to follow it up as the Silas shows up.
I'm kind of surprised the Kindred didn't R there, just really feeling like they were going to survive. I thought with the Leandries that might have been just enough burst to just be able to pick up the Kindred. But Kindred just being able to live on just that that hair's breadth of death.
Yeah, I think it was very well played from A5 there to be able to, simultaneously push out both of those lanes. They knew they were strong, knew they didn't really have to worry about getting contested on them. So they just managed to grow this now 4K gold lead. Saxon go in here in the top side and honestly take a pretty solid trade onto the Darius. Kindred is here, she's putting the mark down, gonna threaten Darius to back off of this. As it looks like she's just gonna go pick up this mark, and I don't think A5 will be able to get there in time to fight this.
Yeah, you just got to be able to give it up. And Kindred with 4 marks is able to then get that extra range, and Kindred being able to just play with that extra range is a very, very important thing, because it gives 75 after the first 4 marks, and then 25 after the subsequent 3 stacking marks. So if you get to 7, then it's 100 total. But
yeah, Dynasty not quite able to pick up that top turret. It looked like maybe Darius was going to have to give that, but does manage to walk up in time, and still A5 is able to hold on to all their tier 1s.
So for right now, obviously they are down the 5K gold. But this still does not feel like a completely
The missed chains there from the Silas. Brand is going to be committing a decent amount of damage here. There's the Ezreal R, and Silas is forced to back off of this. Sorry, you were saying?
This doesn't feel like a completely unwinnable game. I feel like there is still comeback potential. Like your carry options are still there. I mean, obviously, yes, you threw away the counter pick with Silas mid, but you still have Ezreal, who's doing perfectly fine, farming fairly great. Still not as great as his laning opponent with 10 CS a minute, but now they're trying to go for Ink. Ooh, that's going to be a nice Chains of Corruption there, stopping that Rel engage.
Yeah, I mean, to your point there, they are down 4K gold, but at the end of the day, you do have 2 Drakes, right? And the gold is permanent, but so is the stat buff from these Drakes, and the fact that really I don't think A5 can afford to give up any more. They need to start contesting all of these. They will pick up that 3rd tier 1 turret now. It's growing that gold lead a little bit more. They're going to threaten off this bot tier 2, as nobody's really able to help the Silas step forward and contest this. They are positioning themselves well for this Drake that is coming up in a minute, but will it be theirs? We've seen them slip through their fingers earlier in this game.
Yeah, I mean, right now, Brand is just, I think, going to be able to get this. I mean, having the triple grow, okay, I'm going to be continuously pushing for it, which I think is fine. I mean, being able to stop any potential for Dynasty of winning, I think is smart from A5. So if they can get all the vision that they can before this starts, I think would be great. But it seems that Dynasty is going to beat A5 to the punch right now.
Yep, here they come. Will A5 be able to fight their way into the river? That's the question. They don't necessarily have a comp that's all that good at doing that. I think they really want to have the space control first and force Dynasty to walk into them. In goes the Zac engage. Will force the Varus flash. The Chains of Corruption goes down onto the Zac, though. The Rel is now stuck between so many members of A5 and will fall. The Amumu stun is huge. Out comes the Kindred R, but they all have Darius bleed on them, and they're just going to fall afterwards. And it's a 4 for nothing in favor of A5. They're just going to run down mid lane now. They don't even need to take the Drake just yet. They can crack this inhib and take it on the fallback.
Yeah, that Curse of the Sad Mummy was just perfect there. That was good. That was just a Mumu flashing in, getting that R while they're all just bunched up. That was just great heads-up play by Champion. And I think that this is obviously going to net the inhib. Curious if I think the safest play is to go Drake at this point. Like, there is a world in which they could consider Baron, but yeah, at this point, Drake is just the easier, slower option.
I think the problem is if you take the Baron here, you are allowing Dynasty to just walk to Drake for free and get that soul point, which is not worth it. Plus, you already have most of the map open anyway. You don't really... Okay, well, Rel's just going to walk in and die again as Zach's looking for an engage. Kindred and Ezreal are here. Silas is behind them. Now Varus is finally going to fall. This is looking like a good fight for Dynasty, but the Kindred will die, and a lot of their damage is gone with it. The Zac comes back in, will kill the Amumu. Silas is going on to the Alistar. He will die, and now Darius is stuck between two members. The Brand is here, though. Can they win the 2v2? The Darius Q is going to get him some healing.
Oh, yeah.
The Zac stun it, or the Zac is going to miss. The Darius ult is enough, and he's just going to kill both. Well, not quite. There's the stopwatch. The Brand will get the kill. That was, I think, as out as good a play as Dynasty could make in that situation, but it unfortunately was just not enough.
Okay, it was a fairly good play, but you still have the two people with the big old shutdowns that were not taken down. So that's even tougher for them altogether.
Very true.
I mean, there is standing gold that you can get from them, but at this point, you're now an 8k gold deficit. This is looking to be quite dire. At this point, you like A5 just slaps you at their wallet and just will take the Baron.
Yeah, it looks like they're just going to walk up here and do it no contest. I mean, it's so hard for Dynasty to walk into the members of A5 right now without just getting exploded. And A5 knows that.
Also, Mumu is going to be fairly effective because it's going to be 2% max health true damage onto the Baron with the Grief. So this Baron's going to melt pretty quickly.
Yeah, and you can see this is between the... Oh, it looks like... Okay, with the Rel speed boost, they might have tried to contest, but there goes the Nasher. The Amumu... Wow! 4-man ultimate! The Kindred R is going to come out, but Rel is dead already, and now they're going to look to follow up. The Amumu falls, but it just doesn't matter, because so do 3 members of Dynasty. The Brand's going to flash, miss the Q, but the Varus Q does not miss, and that's Kindred dead. It's now Ezreal against 4 members of A5, and I just don't think he's going to be able to stop this game from ending.
Yeah, he does not have enough wave clear to really contain this at all, and I think this is going to be your dagger here.
Wow. A5 bringing this back. The reverse sweep, if you will. And I don't mean to say I told you so, but hey, I was the one person with the right prediction here.
Yep, absolutely. Can't win it all, and...
All right, well, I mean, it was a great series to watch, to be honest, a great one to cast. I'm curious, before we send us away, what do you think was the determinant in that series for A5? What do you think was what drove that home?
Ooh, honestly, I would say Champion. Like, Champion did just a really great job in like the last 2 games, just really doing exactly what was needed. I mean, obviously, we just had the big hero plays of Amumu just being able to get the R off. I think honorable mention to Brand in the mid lane, but then also Hailstorm. Hailstorm, I think overall just kind of manhandled his counterpart and just beat out a lot of the potential plays that could have ever happened, and just was a very heads up player. But I think a lot of it came down to Champion just really setting the tone for the game.
Yeah, I think he had a lot of hero plays there on the Amumu. I was questioning that in the draft. But hey, if he knew it was going to work and he played it to work, then, I can't say anything about it. It was great. Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you very much to everyone joining us. I want to thank Chippy, who's behind the scenes with the production for today, and I would like to thank my co-caster Zoe for coming out for helping me out today.
Yeah.
Um, Thank you again, everyone, for joining us, and best of luck to the teams for the future. Jeez, wow.
Good luck to everyone in the rest of Risen.
For their future
Yeah.
sets. There we go. Words are hard. Thank you very much, everyone, for joining us today, and we're going to be signing off. Have a good one.
Good night.